in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking NFL news. As expected, one of the Lions coordinators is on the move. ESPN's Adam Schefter's reporting the Bears finalizing a deal to hire Detroit offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their next head coach. ESPN NFL analyst Marcus Spears.
I don't think we need to get on TV and tell people how good Ben Johnson is at calling plays and putting offenses in a really good situation. There are some things that still need to be done in Chicago. Player personnel-wise, the wide receiver position with Rome Odunze, and obviously Moore is still good, but will Keenan Allen be there next year? You start talking about the run game.
The countdown continues toward the college football playoff national title game. Ohio State, Notre Dame tonight, 6:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio and ESPN. Buckeyes seeking their first title in a decade. Fighting Irish looking for their first since 1988. NBA, Cade Cunningham's got 32 points. Pistons leading the Rockets 90-80. 10 minutes left, fourth quarter. Timberwolves up 54-43 on the Grizzlies at the half. Hornets got 23 points from Miles Bridges in a 110-105 victory over the Mavericks.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Tuesday. Another disappointing playoff loss for the Lions, but did they miss their Super Bowl window? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Well, chanting Paul O'Neill's name. Muso. And Mr. Toby Tom play. There and make it a good one. Night updates on the Saints coaching search. LSU with a new staff opening.
The top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
We will get to Notre Dame, Ohio State. Cole Cubelic will be here. Scott Shanle next hour. We'll talk to Bryan Driskell, covers the Irish. That's in 15 minutes. But let's begin today with an update on the LSU coaching staff. On Sunday, Carolina Insider, or Inside Carolina, excuse me, reported that Bill Belichick is hiring Bob Diaco as his linebackers coach. Normally, admittedly, an analyst leaving the staff wouldn't be a massive loss or something that I would lead a show with on a Monday. But this one is more significant than most. The question that I probably get asked the most when talking about Brian Kelly's staff, aside from Joe Sloan offensive coordinator questions, is when will Brian Kelly hire a special teams coordinator? And that's all been wrapped up since when he first showed up, year one, didn't retain Greg. And that's been a sort of a pervasive question since. Michael has been let For those that don't know, explain why this is such a significant. So Bob Diaco is 51 years old. He is all energy. But Bob Diaco played at the University of Iowa. He was a linebacker, began his coach, and he rose 5, lands at Central Michigan with co-DC and linebackers coach. Then in 2009 to Cincinnati as the defensive coordinator with Brian Kelly. A year later, Brian Kelly gets the Notre Dame job, takes Bob Diaco with him as his defensive coordinator, where he remains until he becomes the head coach at UConn in 2014. 3 very less than stellar seasons at UConn. Diaco gets fired, makes his journey, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Louisiana Tech, Purdue, all a season each, was in the UFL for a second, and then Brian Kelly hired him in 2023 as an analyst. So this is the 4th time now Bob Diaco was on Brian Kelly's staff. What I omitted is at the beginning of Bob Diaco's career, before he became a defensive coordinator for Brian Kelly in 2005, the first 10 years of his career, Bob Diaco was a special teams coach. Running backs and special teams, linebackers, special teams, outside linebackers, special teams, co-DC, special teams. Like, he was a special teams coach for the first half of his career. Not the first half, I shouldn't say. The first, from 1999 until 2005, he was a special teams coach. So he has his root in coaching special teams. So, bring it to the present. LSU was plumb terrible in 2022 on special teams. They bring Bob Diaco in as a defensive analyst. But remember, the NCAA changed the rule whereby analysts can now coach on the field. It used to be that analysts could only coach the coaches, right? They could be in meetings with coaches. They could go over game plans and stuff like that. But they couldn't have contact with the players and couldn't coach on the field. That's no longer the case. Analysts can coach on the field. Analysts can wear headsets during games and coach during the games. Analysts are basically full-time coaches. The only difference between an analyst and the 10 full-time staff members is your full-time staff members can recruit off campus. That's really the only difference anymore. So, to bring this all full circle, in 2022, your special teams are atrocious. Bob Diaco comes in as a defensive analyst, and we remember what happened in fall camp. Jimmy Lindsey had a medical scare, the defensive line coach, and they shuffled the staff. John Jancic goes to coach defensive line, and then Bob Diaco went on field to coach outside linebackers, or the jack position is what it was called, coach the jack linebackers, and special teams. So Bob Diaco was your special teams coach in 2023. 2024, Diaco goes back to his analyst role. They bring in Slade Nagel. Remember, because you had Mike Denbrock, who was your OC and also coach your tight ends. Well, Denbrock leaves. You promote Joe Sloan, who's coaching your quarterbacks. You had to have somebody coach tight ends, so they bring in Slade Nagel. And they gave Nagel this sort of co-title of tight ends and special teams coach. But I'm not guessing at this. I'm telling you firsthand, my own 2 eyeballs. Went out to every practice at fall camp. The dude running the fall camp practices for special teams was Bob Diaco. Nagel was over there, but the dude running the drills, barking out the orders, demonstrating, where do you go, was Bob Diaco. He was effectively your special teams coordinator. And I understand there's things that didn't go great on special teams this year. But you were dramatically better this year on special teams than you had been. Keep in mind, Aaron Burrell, like if you go look up LSU's kick return coverage average, they're like 111th in the country. But they only allowed 8 kickoff returns all year. Every other one was a touchback by Aaron Burrell. He was phenomenal. He was all SEC this year as a kickoff specialist. Your kickoff returns, You were third in the country in kickoff returns. You returned 2 for touchdowns. 2 different guys, by the way. Damian Ramos is a career 78% field goal kicker. Slade Roy had a really good 3 years. There were a couple of notable errant snaps this year, but had a really good 3 years. Really, the only spot you were bad was punting. And that's because Peyton Todd didn't really take the step, and Blake Oxendorf, who you brought in, didn't have a great season. So you went and addressed that by bringing in Grant Chadwick out of the portal. All that to say, now Slade Roy is gone. Excuse me, of course Slade Roy is gone. But now Slade Nagel is also gone. Slade Nagel's gone to Houston to become the new offensive coordinator for U of H. Good for him. It's a promotion. Good for him. So Brian Kelly, when people ask, well, is he going to hire a special teams coordinator? My point has been no, because he's got Bob Diaco. Well, now you don't have Bob Diaco. So who coaches your special teams? You got 2 options. You either hire maybe 3. You hire a special teams coordinator and find someone on staff to work with your tight ends. It's one option. You hire a tight ends coach and you divvy up the special teams duties on staff the way you did your first year, which was an abject failure. Or you do what you just did, which is you hire a tight ends coach and you find some analyst or somebody lingering out there who might be able to help you coach special teams the way Bob Diaco did. Either way, you were getting max value out of an analyst when Bob Diaco was here, but it's also not surprising that Diaco would leave to go get a full-time on-field role, as he can have an opportunity now to continue to elevate his career again to whatever he wants to be it a DC or a head coach again. I don't know. But to go have the opportunity to be on Bill Belichick's staff as a linebackers coach is a much better opportunity for Diaco than to stay at LSU as an analyst. So I understand him leaving, but it does complicate the issue now for Brian Kelly. I do not have a name for you. It's been kind of remarkable how quiet it's been around this coaching vacancy for LSU to replace Slade Nagel. I mean, Baton Rouge is a big country town, y'all. A lot of people around here talk. It's hard to keep secrets. And the fact that we haven't really heard names is a little perplexing. But Brian Kelly was at the coaches convention last week. And so it's not surprising the timing with the Diaco news, because the coaches convention, which happens every year, every coach and every agent who's looking for a job or looking to fill a job or looking to get their candidate in the running for a job, they're all at the coaches convention. So you typically have a lot of the moving chairs after the coaches convention. Like you have the first round of hires at the conclusion of the season, and then it's after the coaches convention. So the fact, though, now that your signing class is in tow, your portal class effectively is in tow, and you've added 2 tight ends without a tight ends coach, and now you do have the February signing period coming up, and the coaches convention is passed. The next thing is the start of spring. So you want to have your staff filled and done by the time spring football starts here in a couple of months. So I don't know that there's great urgency now, but with the NFL season ending for most everybody, the coaches convention in the rearview mirror, this is probably the time where you look to fill that void on your staff before you start spring ball. But Bob Diaco, listen, I mean, Brian Kelly, this was back in 2023. This was Brian Kelly in August of 2023 about Bob Diaco.
Bob Diaco, again, another guy that has been with me at a number of different stops, a great teacher, highly energetic. I know our special teams guys love coming to the meetings. He brings, like I said, a great passion to those teams, which I think we all know the game of special teams. Sometimes you need that. And I know that we're going to be sound fundamentally, and those guys are going to enjoy playing for him.
That was before the 2023 season. Now you've got to replace that guy who did a lot above and beyond what the business card or the description on the desk said. So Bob Diaco's off to North Carolina. Brian Kelly has a couple of spots here to fill. All right, it's after further review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. I was chatting with my buddy Dan over at Bud Light at Mockler Beverage earlier today, and this is so cool. Bud Light is giving away tickets to the Super Bowl. This is pretty phenomenal. Paul, can you actually go full screen on that? So if anybody's interested. So there's a graphic right there with the QR code. You can scan that QR code to enter for a chance to win tickets to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. You want to score a seat? You could do it. Just scan that QR code. If you're listening, not watching, go follow Mockler Beverage on their social media, and you can see the QR code right there, how you can scan to enter to win tickets to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. National championship game tonight. We'll take a look at it from the Notre Dame perspective. Bryan Driskell covers the Irish. He'll be here next. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Action Industries, actionindinc.com. It's Action Industries Incorporated. And inside of Action Industries, they have the Advanced Turnaround Group. It's not the same. It's a completely different set of resources. Same great company, same great local company that's been around for 40, now going on 43 years. But the Advanced Turnaround Group, a completely different set of resources allocated for the Advanced Turnaround Group. But remember, a huge part of what they do at Action Industries are their amazing fabrication shop services. Maybe you even just need additional resources on your job due to the shortage of skilled labor. At Action Industries, they can help supplement your mega projects. Maybe your company is hiring thousands of workers, you get maxed out. Action Industries, they can help. And remember their fabrication shop services, pipe, structural steel, pressure vessels, they do it all. It's Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environment.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
He doesn't really need to mention the Ohio State loss to give us any extra motivation, because it's like the national championship. So like, if you're not motivated enough, like, you're tripping. Like, he doesn't really need to bring up their loss. I think they lost the past 2 years. He's playing it around the facility, so we understand the pain. But if you need any extra motivation for this game, there's something up with you.
Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard getting ready to take the Irish into the national championship game against Ohio State. As you mentioned there, Ohio State beating the Irish the past couple of seasons. Bryan Driskell covers the Irish for Irish Breakdown. Good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here, get the Irish perspective of tonight's national championship game. Bryan, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Ready for this game to kick off.
Hey, we're I don't know how old you are. Were you alive the last time, or do you remember 1988?
Yeah, actually, that was kind of the beginning of my fandom. I was 10. So I was already following the NFL. I was a Broncos fan, but that year was kind of when my dad was always a Notre Dame fan also, and I was more of an NFL fan as a really little kid. But that year I started paying attention to Notre Dame, and then that Miami game happened, and I was kind of hooked. And then, of course, they went out and won the title, and I've obviously been a Notre Dame fan ever since, and now I'm covering the team. So, yeah, I remember that one. It's been a while.
So what sort of Notre Dame obviously has this long, great storied history, but it has been – almost 40 years. What kind of percentage of Notre Dame fans would you say, like, people that you interact with, like, don't really have an awareness of having watched it? Like, another way to ask is, like, how new is this, like, tonight for Notre Dame fans?
Oh, it's very. My two primary co-hosts, one's in his early 40s, and he was too young to really remember that the way that I remember that. And then my other co-host is 27. His biggest game that Notre Dame has played in was a loss in 2005 against USC until this playoff run. So, there's a large contingent of, like I said, I'm 46, Matt, and I was 10 the last time Notre Dame won this title, and I was 15 the last time most Notre Dame fans think they should have won a title. So it's you're getting into that territory where you understand why some people think, well, can you really win it again? They've never gone through a stretch like this, really, without winning a title. And I think the uniqueness of this playoff and what they've had to do to get to this level has really made it special. And I know Notre Dame fans obviously are hoping that they're able to finally get this one done.
At the Bush Push game in 2005, remember it well. When you look at the run Notre Dame has been on here in these three games that they've won, is anything they have done after watching this team all season, has any of it in this three games surprised you, the manner in which they've gone through this stretch?
Not really. This is kind of what this team has been like all year. They've found different ways to win. Defense has been the one constant, with the exception of the USC game, has been the one constant. The special teams has been really good in other areas, but then there was a stretch during the regular season where they couldn't make a field goal, with Mitch Jeter battling physical injuries. And so I think what this team has just shown, that it's not always going to be pretty, it's not always going to be sexy, but they're going to get it done, and they're usually getting it done in pretty impressive fashion. They're 14-1, and only two of their games have been decided by less than 10 points. And one of those games was against Louisville, where they had a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter. And so that's just kind of what this team has done all year. I think what was unique about the Penn State game, Matt, was that was the first time Notre Dame had trailed in the second half of a game since the Northern Illinois game. So it's kind of like, well, this is uncharted territory. How are they going to respond? And I think the way that they respond was the one thing that wasn't, I don't know that I'd say surprising, but the one unknown about how this team could win this season.
Bryan, go back to that SC game, because you're right. If you look at the schedule, that is the statistical outlier. What happened? Remind everyone, what happened in that game that allowed SC to have some success?
For one, Matt, look, sometimes you just don't play well, right? That happens to everybody. I think back to that 19 run that LSU went through. What happened against Auburn? They didn't play well. You know what I mean? But they still found a way to win. That's why that game looked so much different than every other game they played that season on offense anyway. And they also did that game what a lot of people are saying they need to do against Ohio State, is they tried to play more zone coverage, and they had two or three just absolute blown coverages trying to play cover two. That's not really who Notre Dame is. And so you had some miscommunications. Christian Gray thinks he's getting safety help. Safety doesn't think he's helping, and all of a sudden you got a guy running free up the sideline for a 30-yard gain. So there were just some things like that. And I honestly think at that point in time that team was just gassed. They had played a lot. They'd had a lot of injuries. They were down, I think, by that point in time, like 5 starters on defense. And I just think they were gassed. And I think those two things really combined to make them just not their normal self. They weren't tackling well. They were making mistakes in coverage they don't normally make. And fortunately, their offense bailed them out. And as I said, that's what I think makes this team special. In the past, Matt, that's a loss for Notre Dame, because there's no way the offense would have been able to respond the way that they did that game and pick the team up. And I think that's what's made this team so good.
I want to get to the offense in just a second, but let me ask a follow-up for the defense, because I think anyone who's watched Notre Dame this year can objectively say that's a really good defense. The way I've said it, Bryan, it's not a good defense by Notre Dame standard. It's a good defense by anybody's standard. Like, that's a really very good defense. So can Ohio State replicate what SC did, or do you think that is the plan for Ohio State offensively in this game for how they'll attack Notre Dame defensively?
Oh, certainly. I mean, I think some of the things that USC did to schematically to put Notre Dame in some binds were some post-snap switch stuff, and Ohio State will do that. You know, they move their receivers around a lot. You don't always know who's going to play where. Ohio State will certainly do that. You know, they came out and ran the ball relatively effectively. Not that they were gashing Notre Dame, 6 yards, 8 yards here with Woody Marks before he got hurt. And I think that kind of had Notre Dame off balance. But the key for Ohio State against this defense is going to be the same thing that USC did, is early in that game, USC gave their quarterback time to throw. And then Notre Dame had a couple chances to get sacks, and they missed. And they had a pretty athletic quarterback. Will Howard's a pretty athletic quarterback. So, you know, that's going to be the big thing is I don't care how good a receiving core is or how good your secondary is, I should say. You're not going to be able to cover good receiving cores for 3.5, 4 seconds consistently. You've got to get to the quarterback. And USC early was able to protect the quarterback. Second half, not as well. And that allowed Notre Dame to kind of pull away and win that game in kind of going away fashion. And that's what Notre Dame's going to have to avoid against Ohio State, Matt, is they're going to have to find ways to get pressure on the quarterback without selling out. And that's going to be the key.
Bryan Driskell is with us, Irish Breakdown, previewing the national championship game tonight. Of course, you'll hear it on our air here on 104.5 ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge and throughout Louisiana. I think the bigger question I have really about this game is, does Notre Dame have the offense to keep pace if they need to? So does Notre Dame have the offense to keep pace if they need to?
I think so. I mean, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about this team is that they don't play offense. And, you know, I keep telling people Ohio State's not the team with the highest points per game average going into this game. Notre Dame is. They score 37. Ohio State's at 35.8. I keep hearing, well, Notre Dame doesn't have the explosiveness that Oregon does. Well, Notre Dame has more plays of 30 yards or more, 40 yards or more, 50 yards or more, 60 yards or more, 70 yards or more than Oregon. The difference, Matt, is that they do it on the ground. And that's not considered explosive when you're doing it on the ground. You know, Notre Dame's the number one ranked rushing offense amongst Power 5 teams in yards per carry. Because they have 3 guys who can hit home runs on you. Your quarterback and then obviously Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. And so a lot of people don't count that as explosive because they do it running the football. And that, you know, modern football is explosive, throwing the ball around and all those type of things. And so if the offensive line can play better than it has really the last couple games, then yeah, I do think they can, because I think they control the clock. I think they can get their home run backs going, and then that hopefully give Riley Leonard some time to get the ball down the field. That was the big surprise the second half against Penn State, was how effectively Notre Dame was able to attack down the field with the throwing game. Matt, they've only had 12 completions all year of 30 yards or more. 3 of them came against Penn State.
Yeah.
And if they can have that kind of balance against Ohio State, that's how Notre Dame is going to win this football game.
Yeah, that was it was stark to see. And look, I mean, the game tying touchdown pass, there was some fortune there with the defender falling down, but you put yourself in that position. What is, Bryan, the blueprint for Marcus Freeman if Notre Dame wins this game? Like, how does it have to look?
It has to be a game where you're the more physical team and you're pushing Ohio State around. I mean, that's how this team is built, right? I mean, you have to play your game. You don't get to this stage and say, okay, well, we had to do this to get here, but let's try something different because we're afraid of Ohio State. I mean, you've got to play your game. That means coming out, you know, being physical at the point of attack, getting movement up front, getting your run game going, you know, trying to get some isolations on the outside with your tight end and your receivers, and you've got to hit a couple of those plays. And then defensively, you've got to control the line of scrimmage. You've got to dominate at the point of attack. You've got to pressure the quarterback. You know, you've got to be able to get Will Howard on his back foot. You've got to get him to feel like, hey, I got to go 1-2 throw. I'm not going to have time to hit my backside reads or wait for guys to get open down the field. I got to get that thing out quick. And when you look at the matchup, Notre Dame and Ohio State have the number 1 and 2 pass defenses in college football. And if you look at how they performed against their 4 top opponents, they've both played only 4 top 40 passing offenses. They have the same number of pressures and the same number of hits and sacks from the quarterback, according to Pro Football Focus. So I think the front that's able to do that is going to be the one that's going to be able to have the greatest impact on the other team's offense. And that's, for Notre Dame, it's going to be the key, is Will Howard cannot get comfortable. And if he's not, he'll turn the ball over. And that's going to be huge for the Irish.
Is there anything from these two teams playing the previous couple of years that translates into tonight's ball game?
I don't think so. I think the recipe for Notre Dame against Ohio State this year is the same as it was last year. You've got to control the line of scrimmage. The difference is I think these are both much better teams than they were last year. Ohio State's a better defense than they were last year. Notre Dame's slightly better on defense than they were last year. Notre Dame's a more efficient offense than they were last year. Their offense is actually a lot better against some of the better teams they've played this year than it was last year. They would score a bunch of points on teams that weren't any good, and then they'd score 14 on Ohio State and 20 on Louisville, but 7 of them came in the final seconds. They just couldn't play in the big games. This team is more efficient on offense, and a lot of that has to do with Riley Leonard and his mobility. Same thing's true for Ohio State. They're a much better offense than they were last year. Their defense is even better than it was last year. So I don't look at last year, and I don't think it has a whole lot of bearing other than just Notre Dame's blueprint is still the same. You've got to win in the trenches. That's who Notre Dame is.
He is Bryan Driskell, Irish Breakdown. Irish and Buckeyes tonight, two big brands playing for the biggest prize in college football, year one of the 12-team playoff. Hey, man, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for squeezing us in today.
Thanks, Matt.
It's our pleasure. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by our friends over at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Speaking of jewelry, one of those teams tonight's going to get a ring. Gents, you want to give her a ring this Valentine's? Lee Michaels can help make that happen. LMFJ.com is the website. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. There's 9 locations in all. 2 in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport. And you can always check them out online at LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Valentine's Day, y'all, we're less than a month away, 3 weeks from Friday till Valentine's Day. Gents, plenty of great gift opportunities and gift options at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. You can shop them online as well. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. I appreciate Bryan for being there. The interesting thing he said is about the explosives. And he's right, it's different because Notre Dame's explosive have come on the ground. Remember the Indiana game, they had the 98-yard touchdown run Jeremiah Love did early in that game. The one game where Notre Dame got behind and had to play catch-up through the air was Northern Illinois, and they were unable to do it. All the other games that we talked about, they were playing from ahead where they could run the football. Now, yes, against Penn State, they got behind late. That game got a little kooky in the fourth quarter, but like we talked about, the biggest pass play they've had of the playoffs was the game-tying touchdown where the 2 Penn State defenders fell down. That's the longest pass play Notre Dame's had in these playoffs. I don't see a path for Notre Dame if they have to play from behind. So that defense has got to be opportunistic and put Notre Dame in positions to be able to play with a lead and dictate terms. He's right. If Notre Dame's more physical and they can stop the run with Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins and they can run the football, then yes, absolutely. They can dictate terms and flow and pace and all that stuff. But if they get behind, they're not built to play from behind. They just don't have the athletes on the outside. So it's like Army. It's like one of the service academies. Like they can be explosive in the running game, but the whole adage is if they get behind, they're not built to throw to play catch up. And when they have to throw, then they're getting out of their comfort zone. So I agree. I think he's right. I just don't know that Notre Dame can execute that. It is fascinating, though. I was looking at this earlier. 89% of the sharp money, meaning the professional sports bettors. Of course, there's the pros and the Joes, the professional bettors and the public. 89% of the professional bettors, 89% are on Notre Dame in the points. That's why it's gone from 9.5, ticked down to 8.5. We'll see where it lands as we get closer to kickoff. But the sharps, as they say, are on the Irish with the points in this game. We'll see how that all plays out. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door, siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Quick break. We'll go around the SEC. Don't you move.
AFR.
Love telling you about Duplessis Builders. I've told you about my buddy Derek Duplessis over at Duplessis Builders. And if you're thinking of building a pool or an outdoor kitchen, if maybe in 2025 that's the gift you're going to give to your family, you're going to finally make over your outdoor space, build that pool, or maybe you've got a dated pool that you want to update and redesign, you need Duplessis Builders. And this is why. There's tons of companies that can build pools. They can dig a hole and they can build you a pool. But are they building something that's going to last? That's Duplessis Builders and their difference. Derek has an engineering background, a mechanical engineer with a a minor in aerospace engineering. The guy is like a rocket scientist. And he worked as an engineer, started building pools as a passion, and the quality of work is what sets Duplessis Builders apart. The industry standard workmanship warranty is 1 year. Duplessis offers a 10-year workmanship warranty. Learn more, duplessisbuilders.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
With the coaches' convention being over, the dead period is now over as well. So Tigers and all programs are recruiting again. This one popped up on Twitter over the weekend. Luke Sorensen, who's a tight end for the class of 2026 out of California, he tweeted that he's been offered by LSU. So congrats to Luke Sorensen, a 2026 three-star tight end out of the state of California, 6'4", 230. Hasn't committed, but again, was just received an offer. He and his family were visiting LSU this weekend. Get this stupid piece of paper to separate. There we go. He and his family were visiting LSU this weekend, and Brian Kelly and Coach Sloan gave him the offer. Again, it's odd because there's no tight ends coach right now. So they continue recruiting this position and actually doing so really well, despite not having a tight ends coach. But I really think when you just look at Brian Kelly, the job he has done historically, and we've talked about it literally since he got the job Brian Kelly has done recruiting and developing tight ends speaks for itself regardless of who the position coach is. I'm not trying to minimize that, but, I mean, there is a long enough history of success over a dozen years at Notre Dame and now what he's done at LSU to suggest, you play, if you're a tight end, you play in Brian Kelly's offense, you're going to be pretty good. And as we look at it, Sorensen, and it's still early with all the recruiting rankings. He's a 3-star, but I always say I'm less interested in your star ranking. I'm more interested in who you have offers from. LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, Florida, UCLA. I mean, he's got big-time offers. 6'4", 230 as a rising senior. So he's in the second semester of his junior year of high school, so he's still a year away from being able to sign for the class of 2026. But you think about where LSU is for 25. Trey'Dez Green, Bauer Sharp, Donovan Green, and J.D. LaFleur. You got 4 tight ends for 2025. The only one of those you're for sure losing is Bauer Sharp, who will be out of eligibility. So in 26, you'll have Trey'Dez Green, presumably, Trey'Dez Green, Donovan Green, J.D. LaFleur, and then you have a spot open. So I look at it, a couple of years ago, LSU signed 4 tight ends in that class of 2023, and all 4 of them are now gone. They've all, in 2 years, they all transferred out. Kamorian Pimpton, Mac Markway, Jackson McGowan, and Connor Gilbreth. They're all gone. But you'd like to have 4 or 5 in that room, and right now you've got 4, so you're definitely looking for at least 1 for the class of 2026, and maybe it'll be Luke Sorensen. And again, he kind of looks like, you look at his recruiting profile, 6'4", 230, 3-star. That's a lot like what Mason Taylor's profile looked like as a recruit a couple of years ago.
Mason Taylor!
So just want to keep an eye on as LSU's doled out an offer to Luke Sorensen for the tight end for the class of 2026. All right, we'll go around the SEC in just a quick second. We're brought to you by Supper Club, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. I'm actually not quite sure if Supper Club has made the decision on what they're going to do on Tuesday. A lot of businesses in the area are going to close on Tuesday because of the snow expected in the Baton Rouge area, but Supper Club is closed tonight, Monday. They're closed Sunday, Monday, regardless. So let me take this opportunity to remind you, we're a little more than 3 weeks away from Valentine's Day. They're booked for Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is on Friday the 14th. They're booked for Valentine's Day, but they still have reservations available for that Friday and for that Saturday, for the Thursdays. Valentine's Day is Friday. For the Thursday and the Saturday, bookending Valentine's Day. So if you want to go to Supper Club on that Thursday or that Saturday, they still have reservations available. Schedule your reservations today. Do not wait because they will get full. SupperClubBTR.com, SupperClubBTR.com for Supper Club. All right, it's after further review. Do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference.
Texas A&M! Former Texas tight end Amari Niblack is headed to Texas A&M. Played 9 games for the Longhorns this past season, caught just 5 passes. Remember, he started his career at Alabama, and then before this past season went to Texas. He was the number 3 tight end in the country in the class of 2022, but he'll finish his career now in College Station.
The Florida Gators.
Former Louisville quarterback Harrison Bailey has signed with Florida. He's got 1 season of eligibility remaining. You might remember Bailey started his career at Tennessee, transferred to UNLV, and then joined Louisville before the 2023 season. So he spent the last 2 seasons with the Cardinals, but he's made just 6 appearances. Now he heads to Gainesville, where presumably he'll spend his final year of eligibility backing up DJ Lagway.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Duke running back Star Thomas is headed to Knoxville. Rushed for over 1,000 yards this past season at Duke. Now he heads to Knoxville, where, of course, the Volunteers are looking to replace SEC Player of the Year Dylan Sampson. The Vols have just 2 portal commitments in this December window, and Thomas only has eligibility remaining because he's taking advantage of the Diego Pavia ruling for former JUCO players.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
And Ole Miss has landed an elite transfer wide receiver, Harrison Wallace III, from Penn State. Wallace was Penn State's leading receiver this past year, 46 catches for 720 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's the 22nd player Ole Miss has signed in this portal class. That's tied with Arkansas for the most in the SEC. All right, there you have it. That is around the SEC. Our show's every day brought to you, or Monday, brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Remember, with Relief Windows, you're doing this one time. Oh, you're going to pay more. Relief Windows will never be the cheapest. Very upfront about that. If you're just shopping price, they'll never be the cheapest. But you know what your mama told you. You get what you pay for. And with Relief Windows, this is a lifetime transferable warranty. Other people can talk about a lifetime warranty. But is it a true lifetime warranty? Brandon told me last year in 2024, Relief Windows had 1,700 calls where they went and serviced people's windows. I mean, windows that maybe they installed a decade ago for people that they went to go provide service to people. And it's absolutely free. This is a true lifetime warranty. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We'll knock out a final break here of hour number 1. When we come back, LSU hoops over the weekend. Men lost, women won. We'll give you a quick reset if you haven't. We'll jump into some of your texts, emails, tweets. You're always welcome to join us. You can text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Scott Shanle, 30 minutes from right now. Cole Cubelic from the Natty in hour number 3. We're looking forward to that. Cole's gotten to see both Ohio State and Notre Dame throughout this playoff. So looking forward to having Cole aboard with us in hour number 3 to preview this game. And we'll have the latest on the Saints head coaching search. If you have not heard, Ben Johnson, the Lions OC, is reportedly accepted the job to become the Bears head coach. That would clear the deck seemingly for the Saints to hire Mike McCarthy should they choose to do so. McCarthy was expected to interview in person with both the Bears and the Saints. Well, the Bears have hired their coach now, so should the Saints choose to, McCarthy is available with Ben Johnson now taking the Bears job. So we'll get to all that as we move throughout the show today. Glad you're hanging out with us here. We'll wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
Okay, y'all, we're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, and as you well know, the freeze is coming and the snow is coming. If you need the cloths, the freeze cover cloths to cover your plants to protect them from the snow and the frost and the freeze that's coming, Clegg's has all of that. So it's not too late to get on by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations: Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Actually, I'm looking at this right now. This was 2 hours ago on Facebook. So I always encourage you, man, make sure you're following Clegg's on Facebook. The Insulate protective blankets for your plants, they just got a new shipment in stock. This at the Siegen location. This was 2 hours ago. So again, another reason why it's very important to follow Clegg's on social media, because every time they get new shipments of plants or even supplies like this, they'll post them there first. So if you need these protective blankets for your plants and your flowers, get by Clegg's Nursery.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Wrapping up hour number 1. Jaden Daniels chasing history. We'll get to some of that in about 10 minutes from right now. Former Saints linebacker Scott Shanle next hour as well. LSU basketball, we're not going to spend a lot of time here, y'all. I just don't know that there's much of an appetite for it anymore. They lost to A&M on Saturday. To their credit, their great credit, they played really tough in the first half. They were tied in the first half, and there just was not enough offensively for LSU in the second half. As a matter of fact, here was Matt McMahon after the game and his post-game interview on the loss to the Aggies.
I thought the first half, the preparation and the focus from our guys along with the physicality was really good. They did not have any second chance points in the first half. While we did not shoot the ball very well, we go in at the half because we were able to limit some turnovers in the first half. Second half, we'll look back and watch the film on that stretch where I believe it's a 45-43 in there. They got us, we had empty trip after empty trip with turnovers. We took a bad shot in that stretch and fouled on the rebound. And then the 2 free throw box outs that led to an execution of a sideline out of bounds three for them to push it up to 9, and we were never able to recover at that point.
Listen, here's the bottom line. I know this is going to sound a bit repetitive, and this isn't going to get better because they're 1-4 this week. They've got to go play at Notre Dame, which is Notre Dame. I'm looking at Notre Dame on the screen. At Alabama, which I believe is 4th in the country right now. And then they're home against Auburn, which is number 1 in the country. You still got games against Florida and Tennessee ahead, another game against Ole Miss, and another one against Texas A&M. Like you're staring 1-6 in the face, and there just aren't enough opportunities. And the unfortunate part for this team, because a lot of people keep saying, when are they going to fire Matt McMahon, hot seat, all that stuff. They're not and shouldn't. I think Matt McMahon's a good coach. I don't know that I could point to anything that LSU has done on the floor and said, man, that's great evidence of why Matt McMahon's a bad coach. They are just outclassed talent-wise. And when you're facing teams and programs that have spent in NIL what teams like Auburn and Alabama and Tennessee and Florida have, and Kentucky, $6, $8, $10 million, and you've spent $2 million on your roster, you get what you pay for. And LSU did invest more in this year's roster than they have in years past. But they've been outpaced by the rest of the league. I mean, I don't know if you actually paid attention because, quite honestly, again, I don't know that there's a great appetite for it right now. I've always said with LSU basketball, there's exuberance and apathy. There's nothing in between. People are very excited when LSU's good, or they disengage when LSU's bad. You don't have the indignance. You don't have people getting mad. Auburn's number 1, Bama's number 4, Florida's number 5, Tennessee's number 6. You've got 2 of the top 4 and 4 of the top 6. Kentucky's number 9. So you got 5 of the top 9 in the country. A&M's 13, Mississippi State's 14. So you have 7 of the top 14. Ole Miss is 16. So you have 8 of the top 16 in the country. And then you got Missouri at 22. You realize what I just said? You got 8 of the top 16. This is SEC basketball. This isn't baseball, where the SEC dominates because they're the conference that for 30 years, 40 years, has invested more resources than any other league into baseball. This is men's basketball, where the SEC has 8 of the top 16 teams in America. Yes, I think LSU's better this year than they were a year ago. But they're just not good enough to compete in this league. Not the way that it's currently constructed. When you have these teams investing what they have in resources and coaches and facilities and players and NIL, when LSU isn't. So eventually, or maybe you've already done so, you just have to decide. Are you going to commit to being good? Or how good are you going to commit to being? Because right now, you're committing to being good enough to be among the worst in the league. Got to make a decision. Brought to you by Evermore. Drink Evermore. That's Scones water. I love when people tell my friends over at Evermore, hey, isn't that Scones water? They're like, no, it's our water. What's Scones water to? Evermore. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. Evermore.com. Stock up, y'all. Get by the store today. You never know. Here's hoping you don't lose power, but if you do, if you have issue with running water because of the cold, make sure you stock up. You get the big 64-ounce bottles. Get on by any of your great local retailers. You go to the website, evermore.com, to see which great local retailers near you sell Evermore. EVAMOR. You can buy it online or at great local retailers. Drink Evermore. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. LSU's made plenty of commitment into women's basketball. They won again. They're 20-0. It's pretty evident to see where you've invested resources and where you haven't. All right, SportsCenter's coming up. Get you caught up on national headlines. My goodness, Jaden Daniels did it again. Some Super Bowl odds. This is interesting.
AFR.
Hey, y'all, you'll have some time probably with the bad weather coming through and most everything closed to just kind of sit around and think about things and get some stuff done these next couple of days. How about you call the Williamson Eye Center? 924-2020, 924-2020. And set up that consultation. Tell you all the time that when you go for the consult, you'll do the consult with Kyle. She's awesome. You can do it virtually if you don't have time. Like literally drive on your morning commute or evening commute, maybe during your lunch break. If you want to go into the office, you absolutely can. But if you want to save some time, it's just a fact-finding mission. And it's totally free. They're not putting the hard sell on you. It's just them gathering some information to determine what's the best refractive procedure option for you. And then if you want to proceed, you can meet with Dr. Blake. Start there. It's totally free. 924-2020. 924-2020 or online, williamsoneye.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. there are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Bears are going to an NFC North rival for their new head coach. ESPN's Adam Schefter's reporting Chicago's finalizing a deal to hire Detroit offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their coach. The biggest challenge for Johnson, getting quarterback Caleb Williams to play in rhythm and on time, notes ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky.
That's going to be a schematic thing that they have to build in. It's also going to be his development. That's going to be the challenge, is to develop that within his game. I think the second part is making sure that they understand the easy element, or building in easy in this offense. That's another thing that I love for all quarterbacks, specifically the young guys.
150 days after the college football season started on August 24th, it all comes down to Notre Dame, Ohio State in the CFP National Championship game, 6:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio and ESPN. Baseball, Blue Jays agreed on a 5-year, $92 million contract with free agent outfielder Anthony Santander. NBA, led by Cade Cunningham's 32 points, Pistons top the Rockets in their matinee, 107-96.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Tuesday. Another disappointing playoff loss for the Lions, but did they miss their Super Bowl window? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Scott Shanle here in 15 minutes. One just a bit of housekeeping. We will not be here Tuesday and Wednesday. Had to make a call with the weather coming in, and it just was we just deemed it was not going to be safe for our staff to be traveling into the studio. So Tuesday is when all the snow is supposed to fall, but a lot of the people are expecting, local leaders are expecting that Wednesday might be just as bad with, or maybe even worse, with some of the melting to start and refreezing and becoming ice. So we're going to take the next 2 days, be safe, and hopefully you do as well. And we'll plan to be back here in studio on Thursday, which means we'll be even closer to Conference Championship weekend and getting to see the amazing Jaden Daniels yet again. My goodness, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders go up to Detroit, and they wallop the Lions, the top-seeded Lions, 45-31 in a game where the Lions turned it over 5 times. Jaden Daniels, incredible no turnovers in that ball game, and allowed Washington to do something that they, as a franchise, have not done since 1991. The Washington franchise has not been to the conference championship game since 1991, which was the last time, incidentally, they won the Super Bowl. That was the longest drought of any team in the NFL. Longest championship game drought of any team in the NFL. That's now snapped. And Jaden continues to chase bits of history. He is now the 6th rookie to earn a berth, a rookie starting quarterback to earn a berth in a conference championship game. The previous 5, Sean King with the Bucs in 1999, Ben Roethlisberger with the Steelers in 2004, Joe Flacco made it to the AFC Championship game with the Ravens in 2008. 1 year later, Mark Sanchez did it with the Jets in 2009. And then Brock Purdy in 2022 with the San Francisco 49ers. Jaden Daniels, after the game, talked about advancing to the conference championship game here in his first year as a starting quarterback.
Feels good. It's a real moment just for, Washington fan base, whole DMV. It's just an awesome feeling.
Yeah, it feels good. Hey, Jaden, you're going to the NFC Championship game as a rookie starting quarterback. Franchise hadn't been there in more than 30 years. Just the 6th rookie ever to do this. You toppled the number 1 seed on the road, a team that won 15 games. You beat them. You scored 45. You beat them by 2 touchdowns. How does that feel, Jaden? How's that feel, Jaden?
Feels good.
Yeah, it feels good. That feels good. Pretty good. Not bad. Had better, had worse. Just kind of a day. I mean, we know it. It's just one of the things about Jaden that makes him so spectacular. There's also a couple of other bits of history that Jaden ticked off on Saturday night. He broke Andrew Luck's record for the most offensive yards by a rookie, that including the playoffs. Luck's record was 4,952 yards in his rookie season back in 2012. The 58-yard touchdown pass in the second quarter to Terry McLaurin broke that record that Andrew Luck had held for more than a decade. Daniels also became the first rookie quarterback to account for over 300 yards in 2 playoff games. That, of course, means as a rookie you'd have to play in 2 playoff games, which is no easy feat, but he's not only played in 2 playoff games, but now accounted for over 300 yards in both of his playoff games. So we're all anticipating that Jaden Daniels will be named the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year in just 1 season after winning the Heisman Trophy. And we'll see if he can punch his ticket to Super Bowl 59. His coach, Dan Quinn, after the game, of course, said all the right things about Jaden Daniels.
He just has a different poise about him than most, and he's a rare competitor. There's no doubt about that. But in those moments, if he was a basketball player, he'd want the last shot. As a ball player, he wants the ball in his hands to make the difference, and he makes great decisions with the football, and that takes real mindfulness. Sometimes the best play may be, hey, I got to throw this away. He uses his legs, but he is a rare competitor for us. But his poise in these tight moments really stands out to us.
It is the big difference in that football game. Was the Detroit Lions turned it over 5 times, and the Commanders didn't turn it over at all. And that ultimately was your difference. So with the conference championship games now set, the Chiefs hosting Buffalo and the Eagles hosting Washington, we've seen updated Super Bowl odds, and we've got all these numbers posted for you over at louisianasports.net if you're interested. But probably not surprising, for the first time all year, the Philadelphia Eagles are now the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl. The Eagles are a 4.5-point favorite over Washington in the NFC Championship game, and the Chiefs at home are a pick'em against the Bills. But the Eagles are plus 190 to win the Super Bowl. The Eagles are plus 190 favorites, followed by the Chiefs, Bills, and then Washington is a distant plus 650. I don't know necessarily that this means that the Eagles are the best team or would be favored in a Super Bowl matchup against either the Chiefs or the Bills. But what it suggests is like you can't win the Super Bowl if you don't get to the Super Bowl. And so the Eagles at home as a 4.5-point favorite are certainly the prohibitive favorite to beat Washington and get to the Super Bowl. But if you believe Jane Daniels can go on the road and do something that nobody else has ever done as a rookie quarterback, which is get to the Super Bowl, there's a lot of value there in Washington to get to the Super Bowl. But I'll say, too, but for the snow, the Rams might well have won that football game because the Eagles' inability to throw at all has really hamstrung them. Now, Saquon Barkley is magnificent, and defensively, Jalen Carter in the middle, and that Eagles defense was incredible. That's going to be a massive challenge, no doubt, for Washington next week or this coming weekend. But, man, oh, man. It really looked like the Rams' ability to move the ball in the air was going to give the Eagles trouble. And, I mean, they came back and made a game of it. But the turnovers, the snow, was too much. That really benefited Philly in the style of the game that was played. See if that matters with Washington, because they can effectively move the ball through the air. Well, Philly's still having trouble with that. So we'll see. Conference championship games are this weekend. I tell you what. Hey, didn't we on Friday go around the room and pick all the games? Muse, Paulie, didn't we do that? We went rapid fire, right?
Just it was quick. It was fast.
Rapid fire.
Yes, we did do that.
Yeah. Who picked? What did we say in the Commanders? I don't remember the Commanders and the Lions. How did that go? Washington, Detroit, Muse.
Detroit.
Paul.
Detroit.
Washington. Oh, wait, say that again? Can we hear that again? Washington, Detroit, Muse.
Detroit.
Paul.
Detroit.
Washington. Explain yourself, losers. How dare you bet against Jaden Daniels, you dorks? How could you?
It was more a play on the Lions there. I mean, the number 1 seed. They've been pretty dominant all year.
How did that work out for you?
Well, they lost, Matt.
That's right.
And
what about you, Paul? What do you have to say for yourself? I expect it from the pothead atheist over here.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Yeah, you're right.
Whoa. Atheist?
Too far?
I mean, come on now.
Too much? A smidge?
A smidge.
Just a smidge?
Smidge.
Let's try that again. I expect it from the pothead heathen over here.
There we go. You can do that. Yeah.
We'll do that. How do we feel? Early call on Eagles Commanders.
Health of Jalen Hurts is going to be huge in that game, man. I mean, that's the deciding factor. Saquon's going to get his, but
bum knee, bro.
It's hard to beat a team 3 times. I mean, it's hard not to like Washington right now.
They have a chance.
Oh, now you two losers are coming around. I see how this goes.
What are you thinking?
You wait till the loudmouth bald guy makes a pick and then puts some pressure on you. Now, when it's easy to go with the Commanders, you come aboard.
So you're going Eagles?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No doubt. It's After Further Review. Scott Shanle next.
After Further Review.
We're brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. Yo, listen, if you have any issues with your HVAC, if you have any issues with your furnace, that central heater at your home during this cold weather, make sure you call River City's 1 Hour Air. Have this number on speed dial. Nights, holidays, weekends, as soon as it's safe to get out, they'll be there. River City's 1 Hour Air. I've been telling y'all to make sure you had that safety check to make sure it's efficient, tuned up, running, ready to roll for the cold weather. Well, here we are. We're going to have temps in the teens, snow everywhere. You hope that thing is going to work for you. And if you have any issues, call our friends at River City's 1 Hour Air. Get that number. Keep that number handy. Write it down. Put it in your phone. So this is a thing on speed dial if you need it. 752-0001, 752-0001, or they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
New Orleans Saints will have a new head coach. The list being pared down a little bit as in-person interviews will take place this week. We're expecting Aaron Glenn to be on that list on Wednesday, and potentially Mike McCarthy as well. Mike Kafka has had his in-person interview, so we're getting closer to finding out who is going to be the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Kind of knows what it's like going through that transition. Scott Shanle, good enough to jump aboard with us. Always great insight when we talk about all things Saints. Scott, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Whenever you joined the New Orleans Saints, during that transition period, I know it was when camp had started. What kind of is that transition like with a new head coach? Like, what can the guys on this roster and the guys coming in who have been losing expect with a new coach coming in?
Well, it puts everybody on notice. I think sometimes as a player, in this business, every day is an interview. No guaranteed contracts. Obviously, guys sign more signing bonus money you sign for, you feel a little safer with job and performance. But when a new head coach comes in, nobody's safe. And you see like what Sean has done in Denver. Sean brought in a bunch of people he's familiar with, and that's a big thing. Is a lot of coaches bring in people they trust. And if you don't know anybody, when you go in that building, you don't have any ties to anybody, no relationships. Everything just comes down to trust factor. And I think that's why, using Sean as an example, why he did what he did in New Orleans, why he's doing what he did in Denver. You don't want to wait around 2, 3, 4 years to find out who you can trust. You want to do it right away. And so when change happens, it puts everybody's toes on the line. Everything starts over, and it's about performance based. And I think that's what makes our game great. But sometimes guys get comfortable.
What's your feeling on Aaron Glenn? He was obviously there with you in 2008. Do you have a general feeling on Glenn as a player, coach, person?
Yeah, I know Aaron well. I go all the way back with Aaron played when I was with the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas,
He was
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So Bill brought him in at the end of Aaron's career, and here's this guy who's played a ton of football. I'll never forget this about Aaron. Like it's a little thing, but it's a big thing. He's at the end of his career, and yet every day we're in the weight room, we're running gassers. This dude is killing people, and Aaron has a tireless work ethic. And a lot of people kind of look and they say, is Aaron Glenn a defensive guy? We just had a defensive guy in Dennis, and do we want to go that route? And I understand that sentiment. Sometimes it's fun to flip and go the other way. But I think with Aaron, personality-wise, he's way different than Dennis. I think Aaron's one of those guys because he played, he went through the battles, much like Dan Campbell in Detroit. I think he's a player coach who guys are going to play hard for, respect, and listen to every word that he says. And I think you're seeing it now with these coaching cycles that people are looking for Dan Campbell type guys where players hang on every word they say, and a player wants to know that a coach cares about him. And once you get that out of a head coach and a player relationship, the sky's the limit as far as the performance you're getting out of the player. And I think that's what Aaron can bring out of guys.
Do you think there is you alluded to it? This one thing I've brought up, Scott, just as as an outside looking in point of view, is the connection to the Sean Payton, Dennis Allen tenure because he was here as a player and as a coach, and there's a feeling let's start over completely. How do you separate that? What is your feeling on how closely related that hire might be if that ends up being the guy?
Yeah, I think I'm in the camp that I don't necessarily think a clean sweep because you're not starting over with the GM. You're not getting a whole clean sweep. I understand as a general manager. I put myself in Mickey's situation, and I say to myself, why the hell would I erase anything Sean Payton related? From 2006 on, it's the only thing we've had to be excited about if you cheer for the New Orleans thing. So I don't know if cleaning the slate completely is the safest bet or the right thing to do, because as a GM, you don't know what you're getting out of a head coach until adversity flies. Everybody, I assume, interviews well. That's why they're in those positions, some better than others. But you have the advantage of seeing Aaron Glenn behind the scenes. You've watched him interact with players. You've seen how he treats players after losses, how he interacts with guys in certain situations. It's a huge advantage. And I think that's why people hire people they're familiar with, much like Joe Brady's been in the building. Mike McCarthy obviously has relationships with people there. So I think I'm more in the camp that I understand when people hire people they're familiar with.
Do you, Scott Shanley's with us, former Saints linebacker. Do you have a feeling or relationship with McCarthy? Because it certainly feels like, man, just look at betting odds or whatever. If Aaron Glenn doesn't end up with the Jets, he's probably the Saints number one. If that doesn't happen, it's probably McCarthy number two. You have a feeling on McCarthy?
Yeah, so I think for me, don't underestimate how much Aaron Glenn, I think, is interested in the Jets job. That's home to Aaron. He was a coach with the Saints in a lot of great years and cut his teeth as a coach there. But he was drafted to the New York Jets, played a ton of years there. As a former player, that's always fun to go in those situations. So I think the Jets have an opportunity to hire Aaron Glenn. I really do. But for me, my three guys that I would really consider strongly are probably Aaron Glenn and Joe Brady and Mike McCarthy. I've always been a fan of Mike McCarthy. I've said this all the way back to when he got the Cowboys job and Cowboys fans are coming down hard on him. You put Mike McCarthy's resume down with Sean Payton's and Mike Tomlin's, and two of those three guys, everybody praises. Everybody says they're one of the best coaches in the NFL and have been for the past 15 years. And then Mike McCarthy seems to get a lot of shade. But guy's won a Super Bowl. Guy's done a great job with quarterbacks. He's won a ton of games. So I think I don't want to say Mike's a safe fallback, but it almost kind of is because he's a guy who's done it and has won a lot of games.
Man, it's fascinating to think what direction this may go. You mentioned Joe Brady. I mean, this isn't the path I thought we were going to go in the convo, Scott. But I'm glad you're opening these doors. What's the appeal of Joe Brady?
Yeah, with Joe, I think everywhere Joe's been outside of Carolina and who has had a lot of six under Matt Rule. I'm not a big Matt Rule fan. Joe has been this guy who went and gave a presentation to LSU football, and Ed Orgeron said, wow, I need that guy on my staff. Hired him and ended up completing one of the greatest college football seasons in history. Goes to Carolina, struggled a little bit early in the season, but I don't think it was fireable. Matt Rule fired him, and then you see what he's doing with the Buffalo Bills. And Josh Allen's always been a great player, but having an MVP-type season. And I think for Joe, he hasn't really been out there, so you don't know what his personality is like, and that's a big thing. A lot of guys can be great with X's and O's and call plays, but you got to be a leader of men. You have to develop trust and relationships with players, ages 21 to 37, 36 years old. Those are tough things to do. So I just think Joe has the possibility of being one of those young, up-and-coming guys. Doesn't have the same energy as McVay or maybe as Sean Payton, but I think he's one of those guys that has a ton of success and that guys will respect right away.
Scott Shanley's with us for a couple more minutes. Of course you need coaching, Scott, but you can't win without players. I mean, that's a very obvious statement, but the Saints roster right now is old and expensive. How quickly, realistically, can they get this roster back to a point where they can be competitive, to the point where they could be a playoff team?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the biggest question when people start ranking open jobs and where the Saints fall, and everybody points to the salary cap situation and quarterback situation. Derek Carr will be here for one more year, and I don't think any more after that. So do you have a quarterback waiting in the building? Not necessarily, in my opinion. Spencer played a lot, but Spencer also played with offense that I don't think any NFL team is going to win games with the wide receivers and the running back situation they had at the end of the season. So Spencer got a ton of plays. Now you're really evaluating him a lot in year 2 to see if he can be a starting franchise quarterback. But the cap, the quarterback situation, it's a huge detriment. But I also know the Saints have good ownership. They play in the division. The Raiders, they play in the AFC West. Who wants to play in that division? I mean, so they have advantages to attracting head coaches. But it's tough. Like you said, aging players, salary cap. But here's my thing. The NFL, you can flip it fast. And the way you do that is you have a 2006 draft, you have a 2017 draft, and they have to hit on this draft. If you don't like anybody at 9, trade back, get a bunch of picks. That's how you're going to flip this roster, and you have to start drafting better than you have the last couple of years.
Scott Shanle, former Saints linebacker. As a Nebraska guy, not a fan of Matt Rule?
I'm not a big fan of Matt. I didn't like the hire.
Okay.
Like I said, did he flip Temple? Yes, congrats. Did he flip Baylor? Yes, congrats. Great. So my big argument to Nebraska fans was great. We're going to be Temple and Baylor. I didn't like the way he handled a lot of things in Carolina. I knew too much behind the scenes about the way it went in Carolina, and I was against that hire.
Maybe that's a great Joe, with Joe, that may be a great notch in the belt for Joe Brady, with that being the case, Scott, that maybe what did go wrong in Carolina wasn't so much Joe Brady, maybe as you said, as evidenced by what we're seeing right now in Buffalo with Joe.
That's more who Joe Brady is. Joe, like I said, Joe Brady is the young guy who went and gave a presentation and ended up getting an offensive coordinator job, passing game coordinator for the LSU Tigers. The outlier is the Carolina Panthers. He's had success everywhere he's been. And, if you look at Matt's going to point fingers in a heartbeat, and he's going to fire coaches. He already did in Nebraska. He fired the OC, hired Dana Holgerson at the end of this year after he was around for the building for 2 weeks. So, that's the outlier. But I think Joe Brady's a hell of a coach.
Scott Shanle, y'all get him on Twitter, X, at Scott Shanle, former Saints linebacker. Man, it's going to be interesting to see where the Saints land and how quickly they might be able to turn this thing around. Scott, we always appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
It's our pleasure. We're not got a quick break, but that's interesting. I did not think that was going to become – that's the interesting thing about Scott. That's why I love talking to Scott Shanle. And I should know better by now because he's come on so many times throughout the years. But no matter what I ask him, like he's got an answer teed up and he's going to be thoughtful and insightful because he's got such a great this just vast knowledge of everything, both from as a player, commentator, coach, everything. But I thought we were going to talk more about like transitioning coaches, like when he got here in 2006 and the newness of all of it. But I mean, his depth and knowledge and opinions on the three guys who seem to be the guys at the top of everybody's odds with Glenn, McCarthy, and Brady in whatever order. Great insight there from Scott Shanle. So the more I hear people continue to talk about Mike McCarthy, the more I get on board with that, because I do see it's interesting because it's the thing that I said for a lot of years about McCarthy when people were poo-pooing him as the coach of the Cowboys. I'm like, the guy won a Super Bowl, he went to the playoffs a ton, he's winning 12 games a year with Dallas. Why do people not like this guy? And then it's like he's available and your team's interested in him. I'm like, So it's kind of hypocritical. But now you hear credible people like Scott Shanle. I heard Matt Flynn on Off the Bench, who played in Green Bay under McCarthy, raved about Mike McCarthy. You go, all right, well, I mean, these are people who played, whose opinions I trust, and they're vouching for McCarthy. You hear Micah Parsons say he was devastated whenever the Cowboys didn't retain Mike McCarthy. It's a little validating. I mean, maybe I'm coming around a little bit more on that idea. All right, we're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, with more than 30 different locations across 13 different states. If you weigh or measure something at Michelli, they sell, service, rent the products that you use to weigh and measure. They've got their mobile calibration lab. So if you have precision measurement equipment that needs to be calibrated that can't leave your facility, or you don't want to leave your facility, they'll come to you. They got their Sprinter vans, the mobile calibration labs. They'll come to you. They can calibrate on site. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, servicing dozens of different industries. Go to the website. It's an incredible resource to learn more. And if you're looking for a job, just hit the careers tab. Go to Michelli.com, top right, hit the careers tab. You'll see the drop down. They even got a great DoD Skill Bridge industry partner program. There's also, if you're a veteran, if you're active duty, or if you're already a civilian, Michelli takes a lot of pride in being able to help veterans transition back into civilian life, working with a lot of the skills they've developed in the military. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. All right, thanks to Scott Shanle for being with us. If you missed, we had Bryan Driskell here in hour number one. We were talking a little bit about the national championship game from the Notre Dame perspective. Cole Cubelic, our guy at the SEC Network, ESPN, will be here in 45 minutes. Cole's been on the call for each round of the college football playoff. He's seen Notre Dame and Ohio State. I want to get Cole's perspective on tonight's game and which way that it might go. We'll give you our championship game preview and pick coming up here in hour number 3. Otter Locks are live. So picks from Jimmy, Bruce Marshall, Chris Massero. You got picks from some sharps. They're at LouisianaSports.net. Jimmy will be here again in a little more than an hour. But if you want to go get those plays right now, they're up at LouisianaSports.net. LouisianaSports.net. You'll see Otter Locks right there on the homepage. It should be on the homepage under the latest. I'm checking right now to make sure that it's still there. Yeah, it's right there. If you go to LouisianaSports.net, you can pull this up, Paulie. If you go to LouisianaSports.net, you look right there on the left side of the homepage. You'll see latest. There's Otter Locks. So there's the plays from Jimmy, Bruce Marshall, and Chris Massero. So go check it out right now. We got a station survey up as well with our staff's picks for tonight's game. So check it all out. It's all free, always at LouisianaSports.net. Okay. Quick break. We'll get to Tigers and the Pros in 15 minutes. When we come back, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips is talking on the record about changes to the ACC title game. Could we be witnessing the start of a sea change in how college football is scheduled? You got to hear this. It's next. It's AFR.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Gents, it doesn't matter what your age is. That age is a number. It's about how you feel. You remember what it was like when you were in your 20s or your 30s and you woke up in the morning, you had tons of energy to go to work, to play with your kids in the yard, to get to the gym, to feel vibrant. And as you age, you don't feel like that much anymore. It's harder to lose weight, harder to get motivation to go to the gym. You wake up feeling sore or tired. Maybe your love life isn't what it was. It doesn't have to be that way. A simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. And at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, there's never any contracts, and they have the lowest prices. You can get to start feeling better for as low as $125 a month with no contracts. It's Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit them online, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
We've come all this way, but it means really nothing if we don't finish it the right way and win this last one. I mean, it's the national championship. I would hope that we don't need much more motivation than that. I mean, it's all of our goals and aspirations are right here in front of us, man.
Ohio State quarterback Will Howard, we've come all this way, man, from week 0 all the way to now. The first 12-team college football playoff, and there is one game to go before we embark on the long college football winter for 8 months where we just debate things, get angry on Twitter, overemphasize spring practices, and get into talking season and all that stuff. Then they'll tee it up and kick it off in 2025. But in the meantime, one more game to play, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Of course, Notre Dame hasn't won a championship since 1988. Ohio State won the first ever college football playoff championship in 2014. That was a decade ago. Now here, a decade later in 2024, vying to win the first 12-team college football playoff. So I think Ohio State loves format changes. It kind of serves the Buckeyes pretty well. It's a 9-point spread right now in favor of Ohio State. We referenced this a bit ago, but interestingly, 89% of the sharp money, 89% of the professional bettors are with Notre Dame and the points. So this is very much a pros versus Joes. The public is backing Ohio State and laying the big number. The sharps, the professional bettors, or with the Irish here in this game and the points. I think most of us all assume Ohio State's going to win the game. It's just if Notre Dame with that really good defense can keep it within the number, we'll see. But whenever this game comes and goes, we will have a full year of evidence now to start to analyze about how the 12-team playoff played out, what worked, what didn't, what might adjust. And realistically, because you need a consensus and you need a unanimous vote to make any changes in 2025, I don't know that that's going to happen. Because, for example, why would the Mountain West, which saw Boise earn a bye, vote against that? Vote against seeding, of course, seeding according to ranking. Why would they vote to seed according to ranking? They just had their team earn a bye because they were one of the top 4 highest rated conference champions. There's no sense in them doing that unless they're told to do it, which I don't know that they would be in this instance. So I don't know that we're going to see any change. But in 2026, when we will see a change, everyone has sort of agreed that this playoff is going to expand. There will be a different makeup and rules and processes and all that sort of stuff for 2026. One of the things that is going to be the biggest sticking point is the impact of these conference championship games. And ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips was front and center. His league was front and center in this conversation because he saw his team that was in SMU lose its conference championship game. Now, SMU still got into the playoff in an at-large spot, but they were teetering there when Clemson pulled that upset. So Jim Phillips said on Sunday that his league is going to have conversations with the coaches and the ADs about whether or not they're going to change their conference championship game format. Follow me. He's considering right now potentially 2 alternatives. One, crowning a regular season champion and giving the regular season champion a bye. Basically, the regular season champ doesn't have to go play in the conference championship game. So they would have a conference championship game without the conference, wait for it, champion. It's fundamentally absurd. The other thing that they would consider is having the top 4 teams play on the final weekend of the regular season. So the number 1 would play 4, number 2 would play 3 in the final weekend of the regular season. And then the following weekend would be the ACC championship game. Now, that creates all kinds of questions because every team in the league plays a rivalry game on the final weekend. So are you going to do away with those rivalry games? Maybe. But think about all the ACC teams that play rivalry games. Clemson plays South Carolina. Florida State plays Florida. Louisville plays Kentucky. Georgia Tech plays Georgia. Go on down the list. You all know the names. So you're talking about a Virginia Tech, Virginia. You're talking about a massive, massive shift in schedules, not just for the ACC, but for everyone they play in those rivalry games. So which would you retain? I'm not sitting here beating the drum saying you got to retain Virginia Tech or Georgia Tech. I don't really care if you play those games or not, but those schools do. You know, there is, though, a pretty obvious solution. And I'll be the one that just kind of comes out and says it. If you're worried about the result of a conference championship game negatively affecting your league's ability to make the college football playoff, to me, let's go around the room. To me, it would stand to reason that there's a pretty obvious answer here. Guys, would either of you like to take a stab at what I think is the really obvious answer here?
Don't give the automatic bid to a conference champion? A championship game winner, I should say.
No. Paulie? Maybe it's not too obvious. If the result of a conference championship game could negatively affect your team's ability to make or advance to the college football playoff, pretty obvious solution. Don't play the championship games!
Well,
It's obvious. It's the most obvious thing in the world. They're tap dancing around. They're literally saying, you know what? This conference championship thing, the conference championship game, maybe not a great solution for us. God, what do we do? I got it. Let's let the conference champion not play in the conference championship game. That could be iffy because then, like, are you really the conference champ then if the best team isn't playing in the game? I got it. Let's go ahead and reshuffle dozens of games at the end of the season affecting all these different leagues and everybody's schedules. So one plays 4 and 2 plays 3, and the winners go on to play in the conference championship game. And then what if all the other teams who had games scheduled, what do? I don't know. Maybe we'll mix and match and have our schedulers come in to remake everything. And who cares if there's rematches, because none of that actually matters. That's what we'll do. Final weekend, 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and the winners play in the conference championship game. Or get rid of the stupid conference championship games. They don't matter. For 75 years in college football, we existed without conference championship games. The NFL doesn't have division championship games at the end of the regular season to determine who advances. It's why you play a regular season. Have an equitable schedule. Balance your schedule, play your regular season, crown a champion. Have tiebreakers. It's so stupid. All this is 100% a money grab. It is the only reason conference championship games exist. They are completely, totally unnecessary. Roy Kramer in 1992, brilliant, found a way to create a giant revenue generator for the league. It worked. Everybody else has followed suit. But there is no point whatsoever in having these games. None. No point. None. It's why you play a season. You play a season, you determine your conference champion, you go to the postseason. This is nothing but a money grab. But just like going from 4 teams to 12, or from the BCS to 4, or from the Alliance to the BCS, the only way change is ever affected in college football is if the powers that be can make the money make sense. So until the powers that be figure out how to replace the money they make from a conference championship game and not having it, they're going to continue having stupid conference championship games. And you're going to have smart people like Jim Phillips trying to tell you, maybe we'll have a conference championship game without the conference champion. In what reality does this make sense? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Am I the only one? I got 2 smart people in this room with me. It didn't dawn on either of them that this is the actual solution. Get rid of the stupid games that don't matter. Have your regular season. The first Saturday of December, start your playoff, your 16-team playoff, and play it through December and have your national championship game on New Year's. It ain't hard. But the powers that be in college football complicate it because they complicate everything. Oh, I know what we'll do. Let's have 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. What are you going to do? What are you going to do on the final weekend of the regular season for all those games that have been scheduled? And those non-conference games that have been scheduled years in advance, and the home revenue. It doesn't matter. We got to keep our conference championship game. Somehow, some way, I'm pretty sure, Muse, maybe you can fact check me. I think you can fact check me. But I think the Southeastern Conference crowned a football champion every year from its inception until 1991. I think they did. You can fact check me. Oh, maybe there might have been something in there with World War II. I don't know. Maybe there wasn't a season.
That'd be the only
maybe
case.
World War
yeah.
I. No, the league wasn't around.
30 to 30s, yeah, 34.
You can fact check me. But I'm pretty sure, Muse, the league's had a champion every year since its inception until 1991. But boy, 1992 rolled around. Now we got it right. Conference championship games. So stupid. Like what? common sense evades smart people with this. It's after further review.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Got a little head rush there. Need some oxygen to the brain. Almost passed out. Rouses.com, Rouses.com. Hey, y'all, Rouse's locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach. Of course, we know we're expecting snow here on Tuesday, freezing weather, inclement temperatures. There's obviously the possibility of power outages. So make sure you swing on by Rouse's. I was checking earlier today on their social medias. Good and stocked up to make sure that you get everything you need. And they are also updating all of their store closures information as well. So you can check Rouse's on Facebook, on Instagram, on social media to learn about what Rouse's locations may be closed. But they are open today with normal hours with all of the essentials you need. So make sure you get by and see our friends over at Rouse's, Rouses.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Wrapping up hour number 2, Cole Cubelic in about 20 minutes from right now. But right now, Matthew, Leslie, Musso, Tigers in the pros.
No.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Well, a really busy divisional round for the former Tigers. I mean, you start no other place than with Jaden Daniels. Absolutely incredible. Once again, on pace for history as we kind of ran through earlier in this hour. 299 yards passing had 237 of those in the first half. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, in fact, no turnovers, added 51 yards on the ground as well. He was poised. He was awesome. The throw down the field to Brown, where he just dropped the teardrop in the bucket, I mean, gave a new meaning to there's no defense for the perfect throw, because Brown had his eyes covered, as a matter of fact, when he went to catch it. Jaden Daniels, incredible. Commanders off to the NFC Championship for the first time since 1991. Excuse me, sorry about that. Danielle Hunter, another solid day for him as well. 4 stops in the loss against the Chiefs. 2 hits on Patrick Mahomes. Just was not able to get the sack, unfortunately, in that ball game. And then Derek Stingley Jr., also solid. 3 stops in the game for him. Largely was stayed away from. Patrick Mahomes kind of avoided the All-Pro there in Stingley. Huge day for Omar Speights, former LSU Tiger Omar Speights. 7 stops, 1 sack, also forced a fumble. He was all over the field, but the Rams couldn't hold on to the football in the snow, so they lost.
Great Oregon State Beaver, Omar Speights.
Former LSU Tiger, Omar Speights. And then lastly, it's not false. He played for LSU.
Nah.
He did.
No.
Tre'Davious White.
He played for LSU.
He did. He definitely did. Largely was stayed away from as well by the Buffalo Bills, but did end up with 1 tackle in the ball game for Baltimore. His season does come to an end. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. They do it all. They do it better than anyone. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah, they do gutters as well. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, we will SportsCenter's coming up, get you caught up on national headlines. Remember, early-ish kick for the championship games can be 6:45 Central. And it's just interesting because normally these games used to start so late, but a little more respectable, I guess, start times now. So the East Coast isn't going to bed at 2 in the morning. But you'll hear the game here on 104.5 ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge for our affiliates. I would assume our affiliates are carrying it as well. But we will be gone Tuesday, Wednesday because of the weather. Our plan is to be back here on Thursday. Okay, SportsCenter next, AFR.
AFR.
Hey, y'all, go check out Parish Construction and Roofing on social media, at Parish Built, Facebook, Instagram, it's all there. We have a post up about how the winter weather might affect your roof, and ice dams really are one of the biggest threats. So if you want to go get a little free information about how you can prepare for this snow and ice that's coming to protect your roof, we have it there for you for free. We're more than willing to help. And if you do have an issue with your roof amid this bad weather, of course, we're happy to help. Parishbuilt.com. Parishbuilt.com is the website. If you need tarping services or anything, we won't be out while it's hazardous conditions. But as soon as it's safe to go again, we will. But most importantly, if you have issues with your roof, like I tell you all the time, ignore the door knockers. Trust local people who will be here. Parish Construction and Roofing. Parishbuilt.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. As expected, one of the Lions coordinators is on the move. ESPN's Adam Schefters reporting the Bears are finalizing a deal to hire Detroit offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their next head coach. ESPN NFL analyst Marcus Spears.
I don't think we need to get on TV and tell people how good Ben Johnson is at calling plays and putting offenses in a really good situation. There are some things that still need to be done in Chicago, player personnel-wise, the wide receiver position with Rome Odunze, and obviously Moore is still good, but will Keenan Allen be there next year? You start talking about the run game.
Colts hiring former Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo as their DC. The status of Bills quarterback Christian Benford, concussion protocol, and safety Taylor Rapp hip injury uncertain for Sunday's AFC title game at Kansas City. Countdown continues toward the college football playoff national title game. Ohio State, Notre Dame. Coverage bottom of the hour, ESPN Radio and ESPN. Buckeyes seeking their first title in a decade, while the Fighting Irish are looking for their first since 1988.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Cole Cubelic here in less than 15 minutes. We'll get you our picks on the Natty, Otter Locks. By the way, Otter Locks are already posted. Picks from Jimmy, Bruce Marshall, Chris Macero. So a trio of sharps there giving you their plays for tonight. If you want them, they're up at louisianasports.net. But Jimmy will be here in about 45 minutes. So with another round of the NFL playoffs coming to a close, we have even more clarity now on this coaching carousel and hiring cycle. The Lions losing to the Commanders certainly freed up both Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, the two coordinators there, to accept the job should it be offered. And we're starting to see some movement there already. For what it is worth, on Monday, when Dan Campbell held his end-of-season press conference there with the Lions, he was asked about his two coordinators and what he thinks the future is for them there.
I would expect to lose both, but I haven't been told anything. I've got a feeling, but I'm prepared to lose both.
Okay. So Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, and you heard Campbell say it. And so far, it seems prophetic, not that it would be any surprise, but earlier on the day, Monday, this news broke from Schefter and others that Ben Johnson has been hired to be the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. So Caleb Williams, the first overall pick of the draft, has his new head coach, coordinator, Ben Johnson, apparently headed to Chicago. The news goes a little deeper there as well because it's also being widely reported that Ben Johnson, attempting to assemble an all-star staff, and one of the chief names being mentioned for his defensive coordinator job is former Saints head coach Dennis Allen. That, of course, according to Schefter. Remember, the Saints do play the Bears in 2025, so there is a shot that the Saints could be playing against their former head coach in Dennis Allen. So we'll keep an eye there. The other news and noteworthy tidbit is around Aaron Glenn. So Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, who conducted virtual interviews last week, as did a slew of other candidates. Now that the season is over for the Detroit Lions, Aaron Glenn can begin conducting in-person interviews. And Jordan Schultz was the first to report that Glenn is scheduled for an in-person meeting with the Jets on Tuesday. If the Jets and Glenn don't reach a deal, then Glenn will come to New Orleans for an in-person meeting with the Saints. Now, as Schultz notes, Glenn also has interest from Jacksonville and Las Vegas, although no meetings there have been set. It would stand to reason, it was reported a week ago, that Glenn has the Jets at the top of his list. That was a report a week ago, according to people close to Aaron Glenn, that the Jets would be his primary choice. And if that doesn't happen, if he can't reach a deal with the Jets, then the Saints would be his second choice. So it may be that New Orleans favors Glenn, that New Orleans frontrunner may be Aaron Glenn. But if Glenn takes the Jets job on Tuesday, the Saints never have an opportunity to offer him the job. So we'll see how that may all transpire. And remember, as bad of an organization as the Jets have been, that is still a better situation than New Orleans. You've got a better roster. You've got more cap space. I believe they have $17 million in cap space with the Jets, where the Saints are $50 million over the cap right now. You've got a better draft pick. See what happens there with Aaron Rodgers. But there's a lot of appeal to the Jets over New Orleans. And if Aaron Glenn wants to go back to a place where he played as well in his career in New York, looks like he may have that opportunity. So after Ben Johnson has now taken the job with Chicago, we're waiting to see what dominoes may fall with Aaron Glenn. The next sort of question would be Mike McCarthy. And our Ross Jackson from LouisianaSports.net and others are reporting that the Saints will conduct an in-person interview with Mike McCarthy this week. So as you kind of tick the box, so a lot of this is starting to come into focus. So Ben Johnson's in Chicago. Glenn is interviewing with the Jets. If he doesn't take the Jets job, he'll be in New Orleans, and I presume the Saints would offer him the job. If Glenn does become the coach of the Jets, then it seems like for New Orleans, it's Mike McCarthy or Joe Brady. However, there are two coaches who did have in-person interviews in New Orleans Monday, and that was Mike Kafka, the Giants offensive coordinator, and Anthony Weaver, the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator. So those two coaches had their in-person interviews on Monday. We're waiting to see what happens with Glenn and McCarthy. Joe Brady, as well as still coaching, as Buffalo will play in the AFC Championship game this weekend. So that potentially could be the hang-up. If the Bills win and the Saints want to talk to Joe Brady, they'll have to wait. But if Mike McCarthy is the next guy, remember, the reports a week ago was that there were two teams that were going to be interested in having Mike McCarthy in for interviews. Chicago Bears, New Orleans Saints. Well, the Bears have their coach now as they've hired Ben Johnson. So it would stand to reason that if the Saints have Mike McCarthy ahead of Joe Brady, they could make that hire before Joe Brady's season ends in Buffalo. Or if McCarthy doesn't have another offer, the Saints could wait till Brady's done, conduct that interview, and then make their decision after Brady's season's over and they can conduct that interview. The same is also true for Cliff Kingsbury. As Kingsbury made the decision last week that he would discontinue his coaching interviews until after the Commanders season is done. So it may be another week. We may have much more clarity for another week. Or we may get an answer as early as Wednesday. If Aaron Glenn interviews Tuesday with the Jets, doesn't get the job, comes to New Orleans, they offer to him, this could be over by Wednesday, if he is, in fact, at the top of the Saints list. But time will tell as this plays out. But that's where we are as of right now. Another job is filled, so two jobs have now been filled, with Mike Vrabel being the new coach in New England, Ben Johnson, the new coach in Chicago. The Saints waiting for their opportunity to talk to Aaron Glenn on Wednesday. Glenn will talk to the Jets on Tuesday, and if he gets out of New York without agreeing to a deal, the Saints presumably would have an opportunity to hire him on Wednesday if they chose to. So we'll keep you up to date as all this continues to develop. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. You know, we got all this inclement weather coming, snow, potentially the ice. And I'll tell you, I have tremendous peace of mind driving my Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport because of all of the amazing technology in that vehicle and all the safety features. I mean, there are different terrain, ice, snow, mountains, where I could choose whatever setting I want to manipulate my vehicle to be able to drive in those conditions. We don't typically deal with snow and ice in Louisiana, but there's great peace of mind knowing that if I need to, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, I can. And I'm driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. All the different IIHS top safety picks, the highest safety designation, the great German engineering, and manufactured right here in the US of A in their Chattanooga, Tennessee plant, so you're supporting American jobs as well. If you've never driven a Volkswagen, put them on your list and go see our friends at South Point Volkswagen. Start there, southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, y'all, been a good show so far. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got a preview of the national championship game from the Notre Dame side in hour number one. Bryan Driskell from Irish Breakdown was here. Scott Shanle was here last hour. When we come back, Cole Cubelic, SEC Network, ESPN, has been all over this college football playoff. As a matter of fact, Cole was in New Orleans for the Notre Dame-Georgia quarterfinal game. Excited to have Cole join us next to preview Notre Dame and Ohio State in the Natty. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, two amazing hotel properties, the Watermark Downtown, the Renaissance Southtown. Love telling you all the time about both hotels. The Renaissance right there on Bluebonnet, sprawling, gorgeous hotel with 13,000 square foot of meeting space. From a boardroom for a dozen people all the way up to their ballroom that can host 500 people. If you're going to be having an event in 2025, you have to check out the Renaissance Hotel. When you call over to the Renaissance, just ask for Allison Crump. She's the events coordinator. Allison, I love what she says. She says, we're in the business of saying yes. So they can manipulate their space however they need to for whatever event that you're hosting. A wedding reception, an awards banquet, a fundraiser. They can do it all at the Renaissance Hotel, right there on Bluebonnet. And be sure to check out Tallulah, inside the Renaissance Hotel.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. and we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. You know, our team is really, really excited about this opportunity and playing in the national championship. Against a great opponent. Both teams, have had a great journey to get here, 2 historic programs. We know that it's going to be an electric atmosphere at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Monday night. And, our team is really focused on their preparation right now and playing our best game.
From the hot seat to being favored in the national championship game by 9 points in just about a month's time. What a ride for Ryan Day and Ohio State. College football season will end tonight in Atlanta. Great opportunity to put a button on with Cole Cubelic, SEC Network, ESPN, who actually got to call the last 2 Notre Dame games, both the Sugar and the Orange Bowl wins for the Irish. Cole's with us now. Hey, man, how are you?
Doing great, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Excited about this game tonight. You've gotten to see Notre Dame up close in their last 2 wins. I mean, Cole, I watched the games. I saw how it played out, but how did they manage to win those 2 games where they kind of looked like they were outmanned?
They're just a good football team, and I think a lot of times we sort of forget that or don't want to talk about that, and we just don't really take into consideration all 3 phases, players that know how to work with one another, coaches that know how to coach within their team and don't go out and, are worried about tackles for loss or worried about, certain amount of yards this way, that way. I just think that they understand one another. I think the coordinators are on the same page. I think they coach to win. And I think they have guys that are just gamers, and they have guys that understand how to not make mistakes, how to go out there and get things done. And don't get it completely twisted too. Like, they have really good football players. They might not be a bunch of 5-stars, like some other teams have, but they have guys that understand their role. They have guys that are bought in. They have guys that understand what's asked of them, and they have players that make big plays when they needed them to. And I mean, at the end of the day, like that's really and truly what it's all about is can you get people in your style fight? If you can, is that going to keep the game close? And then can you get guys to step up and make big plays? 95-yard touchdown run by Jeremiah Love in the first round, 98-yard kick return in game 2, along with that strip sack fumble right before the half, which flipped the game. And then, your defense needed to get the ball back after you made a mistake and gave it to them late, and you had to go make a play, and they were able to do that. I mean, Jeremiah Love, again, that run towards close to the end zone. Riley Leonard on that last drive where they put up points, grinding out some yards, and that's pretty much what it was and who they are.
Cole, I know you're a big line of scrimmage guy. Obviously, we talk about it a lot. Who on either side of the ball, whichever you prefer, who do you think has the advantage line of scrimmage in this game?
Oh, I think it's a push, honestly. I think that Notre Dame's defensive line, if there's one area that they can sort of, I don't want to say overpower Matt, but if they can just win start to finish, group versus group, I think it's the Notre Dame defensive line against the Ohio State offensive line. Okay. I think the Ohio State offensive line has played way above their skis in the playoffs. I didn't think that they were very good during the season. I thought they were average most of the year. When they lost Seth McLaughlin and especially when they lost their left tackle, they were very different. But they also understand a lot of, Chip Kelly uses more motion, more fakes, more reads. He splits the field a lot of times so he can make you right. And then, by the way, you got Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. Like, they don't have to be dominant.
Yeah.
And I think the right side has been extremely flawed in the postseason. It's just they have guys that make them right, even when they're wrong. So I think Notre Dame's defensive line has the edge. When Notre Dame has the football, man, if they were healthy, I'd say it's pretty close. But right now, I'd still have to give that to Ohio State. Jack Sawyer's playing his best football of his career. JT Tuimoloau is also playing better football than he's played, other than that one moment we saw against some team early in the season 3 years ago. Tyleik Williams, really good player inside. He's athletic. I mean, he's big enough to anchor, but he can move and beat you, with swim moves, and he got a little wiggle, a little side to side. So I'd probably still give the edge to Ohio State there.
Cole Cubelic's with us. Cole, it's interesting because I think, I'm guilty of this as well. I think most people look in this game and looking at the Ohio State receivers and those two running backs and the skill guys, and then the general lack of really offensive firepower, especially through the air that Notre Dame has. It goes, Ohio State should run away with this. But I don't know, man. The more you keep looking at it, you talk to the Sharps and you see that number coming down. It's going like, there's something else there. But let me focus on the outside for a minute, especially because you've gotten to see Notre Dame in their last 2 games. And sometimes speed is different in person than that translates on TV. Do you think Notre Dame has the athletes on the perimeter to hurt Ohio State and to threaten them vertically?
When Notre Dame's on offense, you mentioned?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? I do think that the Notre Dame receivers are a little bit better than advertised. I would love to know the status of Bo Collins because I think he could help a lot, but I don't know what that's going to be. Jordan Faison's got good juice. Like, he's got twitch, quickness. He can make you miss in the open field. I think Jaden Greathouse is just a good, solid all-around receiver, like a bigger body, good hands, solid route run. He's kind of like one of those just B-plus across-the-board guys, kind of like a Jack Best when he was there at LSU, if you wanted to make some kind of a comp that people would have a little bit of an understanding of, which, by the way, just tragic what happened to his brother. Hated to see that, man, but it's really cool to see what he did when he lost his life to be just such a hero. It's awesome. But I don't – can they just go out there one-on-one and just beat the Ohio State DBs? No, but they're crafty enough, and Denbrock's good enough, and they have a quarterback that understands how to work the pocket, how to operate the offense. So they can get wins, yes. But that's the thing with Notre Dame. They don't get wins because of just one guy. They get wins because if they run the football, it'll open up the play action. It'll force Ohio State to play a little bit differently, and those guys will take advantage of it. They have tight ends that'll slip up the middle of the field and be able to hurt you. Like, their physicality will force you to play a different way that then gives them advantages in other ways. Like, that's how this team operates. This team doesn't operate by, hey, this guy's going to overpower you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, there's not a Glenn Dorsey up front on defense, but they play enough man coverage that they outnumber you, and then they get one-on-ones up front, and they can damn sure win those and make you pay for that. So it really is kind of the story of their entire team, is that the one area that they can just beat you in like you usually can't do much about it is playing man-to-man. They tackle as well as anybody that I've watched this year, and they cover one-on-one as well as anybody else I've watched this year. Not saying they shut this group down, because I get it. Ohio State's receivers are talented, but people don't want to hear this. USC's receivers were talented. Louisville's receivers were talented and had pretty good success against them. So that's the matchup to watch, but I just think with Notre Dame, it always goes deeper than that.
What do you mean that it goes deeper than that? Is that what you're saying? Like they're
It's just never based on a matchup. It's never based on a performance. Okay. It's just all intertwined. And so they can play man-to-man because they can hold up against the run with fewer numbers in the box. They can play man-to-man a lot of times because they can get home. Like Bryce Young is a legit edge defender. Like he's a big-time pass rusher. He's a freshman, but he's going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. Howard Cross can win inside one-on-ones. Heinrich and Rubio. I mean, Heinrich played the game of his life against Georgia. And, like, he's not a dude that anybody's drafted that they want to go try to get and bring him onto their football team. Just, like, probably the worst body defensive tackle that's actually good in college football. R.J. Oben can win off the edge. They can move 27, the freshman linebacker, down off the edge, and he can win. Jalen Sneed can walk up and win off the edge. Like, it's just they're good in man-to-man because they can rush the passer. They're good at rushing the passer a lot of times because they're good in man-to-man. Sure. Like, it's just that's the thing that's kind of hard to explain about this Notre Dame team is, like, everything is collective. Like, Riley Leonard's not just throwing darts and picking you apart like Jaden Daniels was or Joe Burrow was. His receivers aren't just open all the time. Like, it's because he knows the timing of when to get the ball out. He's a threat to run the ball. Like, he's really good at his RPO fakes. He knows when to tuck the ball and run. He doesn't wait in the pocket too long. He doesn't try to keep plays alive for too long and then put himself in harm. So it's just the run game helps a lot with it on offense as well. So it really is, they are the epitome of a team. And that's why I love watching them. But it's a little bit of a different animal that they're facing tonight.
Cole Cubelic for a couple of more minutes. Cole, anytime there was a game like this, like if Nick Saban was coaching in it, I just always like, oh, well, I'm just going to default to him because he's just the best. And he wasn't undefeated in those games, lost a couple times at Dabo, but Georgia as well. Do you give a decided coaching edge, head coach, staff, whatever, one way or another in this game?
No, McElroy and I talked about this morning on our show, and he kind of said, man, I can't really lean one way, and I'm with him. I do think that Marcus Freeman probably gets a little bit more out of his guys. And from whether it's a motivational standpoint or just finding the extra something or other, another gear out of his guys, I think he does that probably a little bit better than Ryan Day does. Not that Ryan Day is inept in that department. I think the two coordinator groups are a push. I think the world of Mike Denbrock. I think Al Golden has sort of been really cool. I watch how he sort of reinvented himself, but he's done a great job this year. Jim Knowles can show you a lot of different things, a lot of different looks. He can be confusing, but he's got nice pieces to work with. And Chip Kelly, when he's Chip Kelly, is just masterful. It's like art watching him coordinate an offense. But here's what I'll say about all of that. And this is kind of what I said on our show this morning. I think the advantage from a coordinator perspective goes to who stays themselves the most and the longest. I really do believe that when you lose the coordinator advantage is when you try to be something else, or you don't stay true to who you are, or you try to get cute, or you try to maybe force the ball to one person or do just one thing. That's where I think one of these two groups of coordinators gets in trouble. You go back to that Michigan game, and, the mindset coming out of that was what? Man, Ohio State tried to play their game and they lost. Ohio State tried to beat Michigan. And then I'm watching the film the next day and I hear everybody saying that, and I see everybody saying that on Twitter, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, they had run looks in the box. They played against 5- and 6-man boxes the entire game. You're supposed to hand the ball off. That's what they did. So if you wanted to say Chip didn't make enough adjustments to try to get to something different, that's fine. But they didn't lose because they tried to beat Michigan. They lost because they got their rear ends kicked by doing what the numbers told them to do. So I think whichever coordinator is just more true to themselves and doesn't get cute and doesn't – I think if Notre Dame, one of their big advantages in this game could be if they get their style fight, a slower, methodical football game, does Chip Kelly press? Or does Jim Knowles press and say, we got to bring pressure. We got to bring more guys. We got to try to do this. We got to move more. That's where I think one of these two groups becomes maybe the lesser of the two.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see, man. That's the first explanation of the Michigan-Ohio State game that I've heard that way. It's Cole's one of the best. At Cole Cubelic, get him there. Hey, before you go, and you might have just alluded to this, but I'll ask it a different way, kind of asking about a key to the game. After the game, if I open up the box score, what's the stat line that's going to tell me how this game went?
Caleb Downs. And you might not see it in the box score, but if Caleb Downs is correctly identified and correctly managed by the Notre Dame offense, then it'll be a lot easier for them to have success. If he is very impactful in this game, I think it's because they did not do that. I think they either misaligned and mispointed the Mike linebacker, or I think that they probably counted him in the box and he was in coverage. And then I think, too, if Jim Knowles allows Caleb Downs to be himself and he is, I think he's going to basically, I think they're going to, this is a kind of a basketball analogy, I think they box and won him with Riley Leonard. And he's going to be the plus one to take Riley Leonard away. He's going to be up there to help against the run. He can drop in coverage or bring pressure when he wants to, but he is essentially there to negate Riley Leonard. That's how I would use it. That's what I would do. Does it work? We'll see. But I think you have the other pieces around that to where it could be successful. But that's kind of where I think if you don't see or hear Caleb Downs the entire day, I think Notre Dame's probably having a lot of success. If you see him with some TFLs or quarterback pressures, or you see him batting balls down, then I think it's Jim Knowles' plan for him is working, and Notre Dame is I posted on my podcast this week. There's 2 plays I showed of him against Texas, and one, they run this little one back power, and they pull the guard around, and they motion the tight end Gunnar Helm down in. Well, Caleb Downs is one-on-one with the tight end, so he comes with him. So they show you man coverage, and the tight end flashes on Jack Sawyer, and then he's supposed to go up to the Mike linebacker. Well, he goes to Caleb Downs, who was covering him. And so they forced that misread, and the Mike linebacker's unblocked, and he makes a play for no gain. And it could have been a big play. And I don't know if Caleb Downs makes a play if they don't block him and he goes up to the backer. And then there's another one where he's lined up as kind of this apex linebacker in the old school 4-3 defense, like everybody played when I played, like 3-4 down linemen, Mike, Sam, Will, all across, except he's about an extra 4 yards deep. And they don't count him in the tackle box, and they run off tackle, and it looks like it's going to go for 100, and it goes for 2. So it's like you got to account for him, or you have to know where he is in coverage, and that's confusing because he can do both extremely well.
The podcast, by the way, is the Cube Show. You can get it on YouTube, just Cube Show there on YouTube. I've kind of pulled it up right here, Paul. If you want to show, you can pull this up full screen so people can see. That's Cube Show right there, so you can see it. Make sure you go subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Hear them on Jocks FM in the mornings there in Birmingham, and, of course, SEC Network, who does an awesome job. Cole, always appreciate it, man. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for the time.
Man, you have like a producer that can put stuff up on your YouTube feed like during the show?
Well, yeah, man. That's Paul O'Neill over there. Can you hit the Paul O'Neill drop?
I thought all he did was hit coolers with baseball bats after he struck out.
Hit it.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
That's my guy right over there, man. How do you think making me like an old bald guy look somewhat presentable? It's a challenge, man. Paul knocks it out the park.
Does your Paul O'Neill like break things in the dugout, like back in the back office when things go poorly?
He's actually like the antithesis of that. My Paul O'Neill, probably our Paul O'Neill here. I don't probably wouldn't step on an ant if it was, like in front of me. Be like, do we have to hurt the ant? We just let him go. We're good. Like very chill. Paul's very dude. Like he's very very chill. Not that Paul O'Neill. I know that
that level of technical savvy sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic. He's like I tell Paul all the time.
I would not know what that's like.
I tell Paul all the time. He is not allowed to leave ever. Like you can't leave. It's against the rules. So nobody try to hire Paul because he can't leave. It's a rule.
He's gonna pull a Paulie from Goodfellas on you at some point in time and say, "Blank, you pay me."
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, we're getting. We're there. We make sure right. do good. We do
Okay.
good. We do good. We
All
do
right.
good. We do good. Before you cost me even more money, get out of here. Thank you, Cole. I appreciate it.
Goodbye.
All right, man. We'll see you. That's Cole Cubelic. It's After Further Review. Brought to you by First South Farm Credit. If you're thinking of buying land, maybe land where Paulie would pull a Goodfellas and try to bury me. Is that what you? Did I take this a little too far there?
Maybe a smidge.
Yeah, I think it's the second time today I've done that.
A little smidge again.
I was trying to tie it all together. You went Goodfellas, mob, you buy land, where you dump the body. It's a mob movie for those that don't know.
You're still going.
I don't think this Paul O'Neill would dump the body. I don't think he would probably hurt anybody, actually. Just going to move on. If you want to buy land, you go to First South Farm Credit. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. FirstSouthLand.com. It doesn't matter if you need land for agriculture, but everybody in agriculture knows about First South Farm Credit. Maybe you want that recreational property. Maybe you're tired of sharing that hunting lease. You want your own. First South Farm Credit. Maybe you want to buy that 10, 20 acres to build your family's dream home. First South Farm Credit. Go to FirstSouthLand.com. That's FirstSouthLand.com. All right, y'all. Thanks to Cole for being here. Good stuff, man. If you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. We had Bryan Driskell here in hour one, giving you the Notre Dame perspective, previewing it. Scott Shanle was here last hour. That convo didn't go the way I thought it would. I thought Scott would be here and we would kind of talk just about the transition under a new coach that he went through back in 2006 with Peyton. Instead, Shanle had great perspective on McCarthy and Joe Brady and Aaron Glenn. So we'll get all that on demand and online if you want to check it out. And then you just heard Cole Cubelic. So you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Okay, let me knock out a break. Come back. Muse, Paulie, and I will give you our championship game picks. Otter locks in about 15 minutes from right now, but they're already posted for free up at LouisianaSports.net if you want them now. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
New year is here. If you want your business to gain max efficiency, you need Glow Resources. Glow Resources, they are complete employer solutions. Jareth Knockan and his team, and they're awesome. First of all, they're just a ton of fun to work with. You get it from the moment you walk into their facility. They opened their new headquarters just off of Perkins and Quail Oak in Baton Rouge. They did a gut renovation of that building right there. You can't miss it. They sort of remade that stretch of Perkins Road near Pennington. But you walk in the door just from the decor and every conversation you have with someone at Glow Resources, you get it. They're fun to work with. They enjoy what they do. They built great culture. And in so doing, they've been able to build an effective business. They cast a wide net to be able to help you find the exact right people for your job. They are complete employer solutions. If you need to find the right people, you need Glow Resources. GlowResources.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the...
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
You know, every season you go into the season wanting to be national champions. And, you know, obviously Ohio State has achieved that goal in more recent years than we have, but those are the expectations to be at the mountaintop. And I think there's not a tremendous amount of programs that can truly say that every year. And I think that's part of the reason why we're both at these places. We want to be a part of a program that every year has expectations of being the best, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to try to achieve that result. And the other thing, I hope that we continuously do it the right way.
Marcus Freeman got the Irish in the national championship game. First time Notre Dame has been in the championship game, of course, since Brian Kelly had them there more than a decade ago in the 2012 season. Notre Dame seeking their first national championship since 1988. Of course, the Lou Holtz team that won it all the way back in 88, nearly 40 years ago. And for Ohio State, seeking their first national championship since 2014, the first year of the college football playoff. Of course, they played for the championship in the COVID year. The team that gave up 52 or whatever it was to Alabama got waxed in that game. But here's Ryan Day, who a month ago was on the hot seat after losing to Michigan. They're ready to run him out of town. And lo and behold, they've sort of redefined themselves over the last 3 weeks, and they're playing, not only playing for, but a heavy favorite in the national championship game. I'm going to tell you candidly, it gives me pause to see that 89% of the sharps, the professional bettors, are on Notre Dame with the points. Because I look at this game, and I just don't see how Notre Dame offensively gets going. They do not have enough athletes on the outside. I was at the Sugar Bowl, and admittedly, having not seen Notre Dame play a ton this year, I was at the Sugar Bowl, and one of the most striking things to see when you're not just watching the ball as the camera's showing you can watch anything. It was Notre Dame's complete and total inability to get separation on the outside. And I don't know how Notre Dame's receivers are able to make plays against this Ohio State secondary. And so they're going to have to run the football. And so they're going to have to control the pace and the tempo and the flow of the game. And if they're able to do that, they can have success. You think about the Georgia game. I mean, Georgia had a backup quarterback, but Notre Dame needed a Georgia fumble as in the first half as Georgia was going in to score. Then at the end of the first half, we all know about the strip sack, which led to the short field touchdown by Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame got the kickoff return for a touchdown. In the Penn State game, I mean, Notre Dame had 3 points at half, y'all. 3 points at half of that Penn State game. They had 10 going into the fourth quarter. And then the game got a little loose. And, of course, the Penn State, the 2 defenders fell down, which allowed the game-tying touchdown there late. Are you going to tell me that Ohio State's going to have a couple defenders fall down on a big play? You're going to tell me Notre Dame is going to get a kickoff return for a touchdown? Are you going to tell me Ohio State is going to be deep in its own territory and get a strip sack, short field touchdown? If you're going to tell me that, then I'll tell you, yeah, man, Notre Dame's got a great chance to win this game if they get all those things happen. It's just hard to count on them. And the other thing, too, and this is no fault of Notre Dame's. But you can tell me all you want about the ranked opponents they've played. But in reality, playing a team that was ranked at the time you played them takes on a different meaning when you look at what they were at the end of the season. Texas A&M was ranked 20th when LSU went to Kyle Field and won 23-13. A&M finished 8-4, lost their bowl game to be a 5-loss team. That's not as impressive a win as it looked like at the time. Louisville was a top 15 team in the country when Notre Dame played them. Louisville ended up not being a great team this year. Navy was ranked 24th. Army was ranked 19th. Like, those aren't great wins. Where's the great win? It's no fault that SC was a 500 team this year or that Florida State had their worst season since they were a college for women. But it's just kind of like, on its face, Notre Dame's schedule and their resume probably looks a lot better than it was. And so now you hear all this about the number of top 5 or top 10 wins that they've had. Well, one of those was Indiana. Like, do we honestly believe that Indiana was one of the 10 best teams in college football this year? They certainly weren't up to the task when they actually went up against the heavyweights in the country. And they got to play Georgia, and Georgia was ranked number 2 in the country. And yes, but you're also facing a backup quarterback from Georgia. I guess my point is, like, I see it two ways. You give a team tremendous credit when they're sitting there at 14-1, and they've gone through the gauntlet that they have and won as many games and been consistent and found those ways to win. But I think there's also this very clear point that is, man, Riley Leonard is not a great passer. He threw a couple of inexcusable interceptions against Penn State. I do not believe Notre Dame has the talent on the outside to be competitive. And I think it is going to rely completely on Notre Dame's defense, preventing that Ohio State offense from getting off. Because if Ohio State builds a lead and Notre Dame has to throw, now you're talking about an avalanche kind of snowballing on them. One of my favorite plays in this game is actually the team total under. For Notre Dame, it's 17.5. That's a play I think that Bruce Marshall and one of Jimmy's handicappers gave as well. I'm leery on the spread just because I've seen all the sharp money come in on Notre Dame with the points, and I believe their defense might be able to do it. But I picked this one 31-17, Ohio State. I think this is a game where Ohio State plays from ahead and basically maintains that throughout. Just very hard for me to imagine Notre Dame doing enough offensively to keep pace with this Ohio State team. So give me the Irish 31-17. Guys, y'all want to make a pick? Muse, you want to go first? You got a thought?
Yeah, I picked Ohio State 31-21 in our 34-21 in our station survey, so I'll stick with that. I think their defense is too good.
You think Ohio State's defense is too good?
Especially against the run. I mean, they're a brick wall in the red zone, man.
They are so good in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, Texas, with that offensive line, got stuffed at the end of that ball game trying to run the ball against that Ohio State front.
It's incredible.
And Jeremiah Love's not healthy.
It's incredible that you brought that up. They had 2 pass interference penalties in the end zone. 2. And not only did Texas not score, on the same drive, by the way, not only did Texas not score, Ohio State scored.
Yeah.
That was the strip sack by Sawyer.
Yeah.
2 PIs in the end zone on the same drive, and they didn't score. You're right. I mean, the red zone defense for Ohio State is, it's the best in the country.
Yeah.
It's been incredible this year. Paul, you want to make a pick?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Ohio State has better playmakers. I picked Ohio State to win 34-24.
34-24. Y'all are both going higher point totals for Notre Dame than I have. And getting Notre Dame to 17, I put them there thinking they probably get a short field somewhere or a big play. That offense is just not very good. Which actually is a great credit to Mike Denbrock to maximize what they have out of that offense. Down a couple of starting linemen as well. They're down their left tackle. That's a steep hill to climb, man. That's why I'm so surprised to see all the professional money coming in on Notre Dame and the points. This feels very obvious. This feels like it's more one of those championship games we saw in the BCS era where you saw like the 42-14 type games. It feels like this one could go that way. But We'll see how it plays out. You're 57 minutes away from kickoff. All right, Otter Locks is next.
After further review.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. Of course, if it's auto wrecks, if it's big truck wrecks, it could be any type of personal injury. It could be workers' comp. So many different types of cases that Gordon's team of attorneys handle, and they're all over the state. So no matter where you're listening in Louisiana, you can always just call the 8s. 888-8888, 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys if you want to talk to someone, 888-8888, or you could start that process online at getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Remember, when you go to the website, you can also see client results. You can see testimonials from past clients, and you can learn more about the G team and all that Gordon's done through his charitable endeavors and the NIL work that he's done. It's Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured. You know what to do. Go to getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. You know what it is. Let's get our picks on the Natty. It's time for Auto Locks.
Auto Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Welcome back, Otter!
Hey, what's up, Matthew?
You're back
How
just
you
in
doing,
time
buddy?
to take a few days off.
No kidding. No. Funny how that works. But my son was ready to get rid of me anyway. So,
I don't blame him. Oh, you're always welcome here, though, Otter. You're always welcome here.
Good to know. Good to know.
What are we looking at, man?
We already hinted at this yesterday on Football Sunday, and I was kind of teaser friendly yesterday on Football Sunday with the Eagles teased, with the Bills, and I'd already had Kansas City teasing with the Buffalo Bills, but I did a Philadelphia and Ohio State teaser, and it's very teaser friendly right now at 8.5. So the 2.5, and so. Well, with no other games, I really don't want to tease the total tonight, but I would be willing to tease the Buffalo Bills plus 7.5. So take Ohio State minus 2.5 and Buffalo plus 7.5.
Okay, Ohio State.
If you weren't listening yesterday, it already had Buffalo yesterday plus 7.5.
Yep. Ohio State and Buffalo in a teaser bet. You like a side or the total? On the game?
Oh yes, indeed. So I'm all over Ohio State in this one, Matt. Notre Dame's 11-3. We know it's been a while, but Notre Dame, once upon a time, was the most public team in college football, and well, it's cranked back got some of the Irish faithful out of the woodwork. They've been pounding the Irish all season, and they're winning and covering and fairly easily. They won the game outright as a favorite the last 2 games.
1 minute remaining.
But still, I just think that Ohio State's going to clean up their sloppiness after scoring the first drive against Texas. The next 3 drives are stopped because of penalty. Another drive stopped in the second half because of penalty. I think they're going to clean that up in this game. And, the Irish is closing the first half, last possession, opened up second half possession, plus 14 against Georgia, plus 10 against Penn State. I don't know if that's sustainable. I love the speed advantage for Ohio State here. I like the Buckeyes minus the 8.5. Pretty big tonight.
We're down. We got under 30 seconds. Saw 89% of the sharp action is on Notre Dame. Any idea there?
Sharp action? I don't know about that.
I saw that over at Bet Online. It was a number I saw at Bet Online, which really surprised me. So we'll see. Otter, I'll lean with you, man. I think Buckeyes big, but we'll see how it goes.
Buckeyes, and if you need to pair it up with something, pair it with the under.
There you go. Otter, we appreciate it.
All right, guys. Good luck.
After further review.
Getting on down the road, remind you about Cubelic Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Y'all, we're heading into this winter storm that's coming through. Of course, be safe on the roads. If you come out of this and you realize, man, you need new tires. The best tires on the road. The peace of mind knowing that you have the best tires on the road on your vehicle for you, for your family. You get them at Shawbills. They'll sell you name brand tires at wholesale prices. Go to ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Always encourage you, go to the website, hit the promotions tab at the top so you can see every deal, every special they have going on right now. And always, 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 always ask about the Shawbills credit card. It's basically a credit card for your vehicle. You get VIP pricing, and it's 6 months, no interest. With the Shawbills credit card, one place, you guessed it, at Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live